There's no reason why they shouldn't win their division. From top to bottom, they have the best roster. It's their division to lose. What do you say to that? Besides fuck Eagles, because I know that's what you mean.
The Eagles should be good.
I love how you just see the pain in his eyes. It's like, why? Look, I even put Kayvon Thibodeau on there for you, make you feel better.
Eagles should be good.
Mm-hmm. Do you have them winning the division? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a great summer, but we're glad to be back. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll. Charles is always daydreaming, and we're two guys that like discussing other people's excellence. Football season is back. This is the best, one of the best times in sports.
My third draft is tonight.
Oh, God bless you. I did 2 and I'm done. I'm not doing any more.
Oh, this is my last one. This is the league I've been in the longest now. So,
okay, good. Yeah, we had actually a great draft yesterday. It was fun. We definitely got to do that again.
Axe throwing.
Yeah, we're going to get into it. We're going to get into NFL, our predictions. There's one major story in college football that we got to talk about. They're now going to 12 games, 12-game playoff. That just got done, Saturday?
Yeah, it was like Friday that got announced. I think it starts in 2026 or something.
Yeah, we already talked about USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten and all the stuff, so we don't got to talk about that. Well, let's just talk about the playoffs real quick before we go to the big boys of the NFL. I personally think this is stupid. I personally think that if they were going to expand the playoff, 6 was the number. I would have been okay with 8. But 12 is ridiculous. There's no year where we have more than 5 worthy candidates of the national title game. And now you have 12 people competing. There was a stat, because I was watching Rob Parker talk about this. Do you know only 6 of the 24 college football playoff games that we've had so far, only 6 have been like single score games?
Yeah, but that's college football.
But that's my point. We're not going to have good games. These are going to be blowouts. They're not going to be fun to watch. It's not good football, and you're going to expand on that even more. Ironically, if you go back to the last 24, the national championship games, 7 of them, or 7 of the last 15 or something like that, national championship games were close games. So it proves that there really is only 2 teams every year that are good enough to win the championship. Everybody else is fighting for, at best, 3rd place. And now we're going to have 12 playoff teams, which makes no sense.
Yeah, it does. It's just money, man. Because if there's a matchup that, like an underdog matchup that goes 2 rounds, that second game, that third game is going to draw, and it's going to be nothing but ratings and money for them. So it makes total sense. And because people like me, that's when I'm most tuned into college football. So like the bowl season and the college playoff season now, that's going to be when I tune in, because 12 teams is 6 games. So it's going to be a bye, like probably a bye.
The first 4 teams have a bye.
Yeah. There's all money. Yeah, and I'm for it. I'm not against it.
I'm against it. I'm 100%.
I knew this was coming. Like I knew this was coming. I think it's going to hit 16. So that's what I think.
I just think that's stupid. Most teams aren't good enough to be in this, and this is football. Like, that's another thing. This isn't basketball where it's like, hey, have everybody play. Like, March Madness is awesome because you get those Cinderella stories and stuff like that. This is football where the chances of getting hurt are much greater. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but these are college players, man. They're playing for this.
Yeah, I don't care. Coastal Carolina going 12-0 one year, and now they're in the playoffs to get blown out.
But what if they don't get blown out?
They will. And we know they will. Once in a blue moon, somebody will.
It's happening. It's happening before our eyes, everybody. He's turning into the get off my lawn.
No, because here's the problem. Here's another thing that Rob Parker said I 100% agree with. You're diluting the product at this point. And here's what I mean by that. I said this when the expansion, I said, here's the problem with expansion, right? You're doing all this for college football. College football is king now. One day it won't be. And honestly, all the stuff that they're doing right now, they're accelerating that timeline when it won't be king. You're oversaturating the product. Again, the stats prove that already in the 14 playoffs, 90% of the games aren't even good. So you're going to expand the playoffs.
I think that's misleading too, because if there's only 4 teams, there's 2 games.
6 out of 24, bro. Like there's been 24 playoff games. Only 6.
And Alabama has played a major part. Ohio State has played a major part. Some of the better college players, period, have won.
And they're going to get in anyway. So that's my point.
Yeah, but expanding the playoffs, more kids will be going to different schools. It's no different than the bowl season. The bowl season with the Chick-fil-A Bowl and the Who Cares Bowl and the Air Fresh Pockets Bowl.
But even that, but that they brought that up too. Like the ratings for the bowl games aren't that good. Why? Because there's a million bowls now. So
yeah, but there's not a million playoff games.
But okay, so Wake Forest gets in because they're the 12th team. They'll play what, the 5th team? Let's say it's Ohio State, or let's say it's like the second SEC team that doesn't get in, right? They're going to get destroyed. Okay, great. And then whoever's 11th, let's say it's Baylor or somebody, they play Michigan and they get destroyed. Like, why are we watching this? This is not even good football. And the problem is it's oversaturation in my.
Yeah, but this is college football in a nutshell, regardless. Like, I don't like. Not every game's a shootout. Not every game's this super exciting product or good product. That's college sports. Like the idea that the dynasties aren't still going to be the dynasties, especially in college football, because of the playoffs. I don't think it's making it worse. If anything, casuals like me are going to tune into the playoff games. If there's more playoff games, there's more ratings.
Wait. You're telling me you're going to watch Wake Forest versus
right now? That's not
Wisconsin.
I'll give the 12 right now, so we can work within a more or less realistic 12.
Okay.
Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Utah, Michigan, Oklahoma, Baylor, Oregon, Oklahoma State.
So you're going to watch. So who's 5?
In Texas A&M.
You're watching Texas A&M versus Oregon State, you said?
5. It would be a 5-6 matchup.
It would be a 5-12 matchup, first round.
5-12 would be Notre Dame, Oklahoma State.
You're watching that?
I'd watch that. I was watching the Notre Dame game, the first game.
Yeah, against Ohio State, not Oregon, not Oregon.
Oklahoma State. I'm just saying, like, I don't hate on Oklahoma State. I usually watch the rivalry week, so like I watched the Oklahoma Bowl, like whatever they call that shit.
Yeah, but that's
like,
different. That is different.
How is it different?
Because Oklahoma State is different from Oklahoma State versus Notre Dame. Come on,
yeah, but what if Notre Dame's coach gets off and popping this year, and they're a favorite to win it, but Oklahoma State is like leading in the third quarter or some crazy shit? Like, you're telling me you're not into it?
Then people get the Bleacher Report pop up and they'll watch the fourth.
Okay,
quarter.
And just to play devil's advocate here, take Oklahoma State out of it. I'll give you the next 5 teams down that could be in that spot: North Carolina State, USC, Michigan State, Miami, Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, Arkansas, until you get to Kentucky at 20. That's right now. That's right now is all I'm saying.
Out of those teams you named, only USC, Miami, and Oklahoma. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry.
Michigan State. It's USC, Michigan State, Miami, and then Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, and Arkansas, which all have hardcore fan bases.
Yeah, but okay, I'm not talking about the hardcore fan bases. They're going to watch regardless. I'm saying USC, Miami, and maybe Michigan State are the 3 teams out of those that you named that I might watch. And even then, 2 of those teams, Michigan State and USC, have a traditional rivalry with Notre Dame. So that's my point. Like actually, matter of fact, all 3, Miami.
Bro, I'm just saying, I'm pointing out the flaw in your logic is that this is what they're attracting. Because name another matchup. Name one of the other matchups and see the money that we're getting.
No, go ahead. Go down the line. You did 5-12. What would be 6-11? What would be the 6-11?
6-11 as currently constituted would be Texas A&M and Oregon.
Mm-hmm. You're watching that? After Oregon just got their ass beat by Georgia, you're watching that?
I mean, but you watched that. That's my whole point. That's a playoff game. You just watched it.
Mm-hmm. Georgia beat them.
But you watched it. That's my point. You're asking, are you watching it? You literally are watching it. Okay, move the rankings around a little bit. You just watched the playoff game with Georgia.
I watched the first quarter, and after the first quarter, it was 21-0, and I turned it off because I saw where this was going. That's my point. That's my point. That's my point.
I'm just pointing out that me and you have literally watched more than one Rutgers game together.
Yeah, because we're Rutgers fans.
I'm just saying.
So if that's my point. If Rutgers made the playoffs one year, right? Now that they're the 12, let's be real. First of all, they will never. But let's just say they were good enough to be.
Hold on, I'm old enough to remember Ray Rice, sir. I'm old enough to remember. We could have had a chance.
We could have had a chance back then. But let's say they're good enough in a couple years to be 12th in the nation and they make the playoffs. Me and you would watch, of course. Nobody else would watch. If you're not a Rutgers fan or a fan of whoever they play, you're not watching. You're just not.
I guess, but at the same token, I think they're trying to get.
Because
I'm just saying, as somebody that's way more
now, the bowl games now don't get the good ratings that they thought they were going to get because it's only those fan bases. For instance, the Pizza Hut Bowl, right? OU plays some other team. I'm gonna watch it because that's my school. Nobody's watching that shit.
No, I get that, dude. Rutgers goes to the Pinstripe Bowl all the time,
right?
But at the same time, they made the bowl games mean nothing. I'm not saying, because if we only had 4 bowl games, you know what I mean, like the Cotton Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, like those, like the traditional bowls, they would still mean something. They would. Let's be real.
Bowl games mean nothing now. And matter of fact, they're going to be even worse once this playoff starts.
I'm just saying to you,
because you're still going to have. Because watch this, because you're still going to have 100 bowls, but now you eliminated a bunch of matchups. So now there's going to be even more mediocre teams making bowls because we got to fill up the bowls.
No, I get that too, but at the same time, it is like the bowls have their purpose. They don't all need to be televised. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? Like just as a sports fan, I don't think you need to eliminate them. Sometimes most of the time, that's a lot of people's last football game they play, and it's cool to win something. Don't call it a participation trophy because if it's everything's individualized when it comes to those bowl games, and I think that has its own special part. What I'm saying the difference is there's not 100 of these games. If there's 12 teams, and I think the max should be 16. Just saying to me, I'm just pointing that out. I'd be happy. I'm not going to sit here. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm playing devil's advocate because I was with Brett. I thought 8 was the magic number, but they went to 12, and here we are. So I'm saying, realistically, if this works well, whatever relative well, it's going to go to 16. That's just what my prediction.
And my only thing is it's about the money. But again, football's too dangerous for sports to just be putting all these games out there, man. That's not fair.
Well, they can start. The funny part is me and you are already on the same page with this. Pay these kids for the bowl games, man. Like even if like anything's good, like
no, that's fine. But my point is, again, these guys, especially the top guys, let's be real, they are looking past the college football players. They're looking at their future. And don't get mad when these kids start dropping out of these college football playoff games, because if I'm a top recruit at Alabama and I know the draft is coming up, why the hell am I going to risk myself against?
Oh, come on, dude. Don't say that. Don't say that.
No, hold on. That's real talk.
No, it's not, because Tua Tagovailoa's whole career is Alabama. Jalen Hurts has a career because of the years he had at Alabama making that risk. So the idea that these top guys at every
that's two guys.
Okay, AJ McCarron is the other quarterback of this.
There's much more, but especially at these top.
Deshaun Watson's highlight of his career is the college football.
I understand that, but that is a select few.
I'm going back in time. Like how many years do you want to do this? Like,
no, I'm saying every year. I'm agreeing with you. Every year there's like 4 or 5 guys was like, no, you have to play because if you play well, your draft stock could come up. Again, there's a lot of other guys where it's like, wait a minute, I'm already a first-round draft pick. I'm not about to sit here and play a semifinal or quarterfinals game against Oregon State and potentially get hurt. Now they might say, hey, look, if you get to the semifinals or the national championship game, yeah, I'll play. But I'm not playing in these quarterfinal games.
Why?
And because again, why would I risk my NFL future?
Bro, the last dude I remember doing something like this is Jadeveon Clowney. That's the last dude I remember not playing because of
a lot. Well, no, a lot of people didn't play in the bowl games the last couple. Kenny Pickett.
We're not talking about bowl games though. These aren't bowl games. These mean more than bowl games.
But that's my point. A quarterfinals game against NC State
bro, I don't see how that saves your draft stock by quitting on your team in the playoffs. Like that doesn't
because why would I get hurt in a game that I should win anyway? That's what I'm saying. You might see guys say, hey, listen, get to the semifinals and the finals, I'll play. But I'm not playing in the quarterfinals game against Oregon State. I'm sorry.
So which position is doing this? I don't see cornerbacks or wide receivers doing.
For instance, Will Anderson, right? He's the defensive end or the edge rusher from Alabama. A lot of people think he could be the number one pick in the draft. I would not be mad at him if he said, why am I playing NC State? When we play Georgia in the semifinals, I'll play. I'm not playing against
that dude. Ain't gonna be the first overall pick if he does that.
Yes, he would. Nobody in their
he wouldn't. Every single year you do your mocks, and every single year the overhyping of the combine happens, and then the top 5 changes. From this point on to this time next year.
For the combine, he can still go kill it at the combine and maintain his top 5 status. That's the point. Why would
top 5 status? Went from number 1 to now top 5 because he sat out. That's my point.
No. Okay, fine. He can still kill it at the combine and still maintain his number 1 status. But that's my point. I'm not going to hurt myself playing a random team that makes that we should blow out by 50. We're the only thing that can
Dude, you can make this argument with everybody playing in their senior year. Oh, why are you going to go out there and blow out your knee playing this random game? But
Charles, more
it's the play. No, you're talking about playoff games, dude. These aren't random games. Like these are literal playoff games.
Okay. But
for a national title,
but that's the point. You're diluting the playoffs
I don't think you are, man.
Yes, you are. By playing these teams that have no business competing for a national championship, they are meaningless games. Will Anderson doesn't. If Alabama plays Oregon State, Will Anderson does not have to play for them to blow them out. So if I'm Will Anderson, I'm not saying.
So he doesn't play in Oregon State or Oregon wins.
That's a risk you got to take, bro.
Okay, I'm just saying though. What happened is,
what I'm saying is,
no. What happens then is Oregon's players, their star players' draft stocks go up, and all the Bama players go down because people overrate these moments. They do every draft, every single draft,
and good for them. But
that's my point. You're saying I'm gonna preserve my stock by sitting out. That's not preserving the stock. That's not what happens.
Okay. All right. So Will Anderson doesn't play. Alabama loses. The edge rusher from Oregon State now, for some reason, is a top 5 pick. Will Anderson will still be a top 5 pick, as opposed to him getting injured and not being a first-round pick at all. Like, come on, you got to weigh.
Bro, and I'm just saying, like, with injury, it's football. You keep saying it, and like you're using it the wrong way. It's football. Injuries can happen at any point.
But okay,
like they're not worried about that. They go and play the game because that's what they want to do.
Until money's on the line. Come on, Charles.
Bro. There's money on the line here too. Yo, I don't know if you noticed. No matter if he has a good season or not, and we're just going to segue into what we're supposed to be talking about on this pod. Your boy Baker is still going to always have commercials from that Heisman. If you make your name in college, you are set.
But Heisman's a regular season thing. And Will Anderson's not going to make
national titles or national titles.
But hold on, but Will Anderson's not going to win the Heisman because he's a defensive player. You and I both know that.
So no, I know that. I don't mean just him. I mean people in general. Their legacy can be built off these games.
But again, that's why I said I can see players saying, "Hey, wake me up when we make the semifinals." But I would not blame any player for saying, "Yo, man, I'm not playing against these guys," because the only thing that can happen is I get hurt. We're gonna blow them out regardless. The only thing that can happen if I play is I get hurt, and that's what I'm saying. Semifinals, finals, yeah, I'm sure people will play, but the quarterfinals and stuff like that, I can see a lot of players saying, "Yo, I'm not playing this game. I'm not doing that." Again, I'm talking about the upper echelon players on the upper echelon teams. Obviously, if you're an Oregon State player and you're 12,
Yeah, you're talking about the minority of people playing.
but those are the stars that
Nah,
we're
man, I don't
continuing to
like. It's
watch.
not always like that. It's really not. Especially, sadly, with defensive players at that. I'm somebody that would be bummed about that in a college setting, but I'm also a defensive guy. Like, I'm like a nerd for pass rushes and secondaries at any point in any form of the game. So, but this is a completely offensive driven sport. So, sadly, the needle movers aren't pass rushers. They're quarterbacks and wide receivers.
I'm just using Will Anderson as an example.
And I'm saying the wide receiver, though,
a wide receiver will do the same thing. A wide receiver,
but he kind of can.
Well, hey man, I'm not playing until we get to the semifinals, bro. I'm not playing.
Let's talk about the pros now, dude, because we're going to have plenty of time to talk about college football.
You'll see, mark my words. You'll see. You're going to see a lot of people missing those first.
What's the first thing you're supposed to have made something?
I did. Hold on, I'm getting to it. So look, let's get into the pros, man, because they do get paid and they are going to play every playoff game because that's their job. Listen, this is the 22 NFL season. I got a couple questions for every division. Let's start with the AFC East. Can the Bills win it all? They're a lot of people's favorites. I think right now they're my favorites to win. They're a really good team. They don't really have much flaws. Do you think they can win it all this year?
I do. I'm just like, I'm sorry if everyone's looking at my face like the weird face I'm making, because he has Mac Jones as the thing, and not one of the questions are about the Pats.
Is Bill being exposed?
Oh, is Bill being exposed? My bad. I read it as Bills. I do think the Bills can win it all. I'm pretty sure, and I'm saying this early because I told Brett off mic, and I want to let everyone, all the listeners know. I feel like this is a nexus era in the NFL. We're in between two other eras. We're not fully out of one, and we're not fully in the other yet, and we don't know what anything is yet. There's a weird time in the NFL. There's a lot of, for lack of a better term, mediocre in the NFL. There's good. There's superstar elite, but there's just a lot more good than anything else right now. And the Bills are great. Like the last couple seasons, they've turned into the little Bills that could to, oh shit, Josh Allen might have led this team to a Super Bowl this year if it wasn't for one of the greatest playoff games ever. And yeah, the Bills' biggest problem is they're in the deepest AFC to probably ever exist. That's probably their only issue.
They have a really hard schedule this year.
If this team, as currently constituted, if it was possible, could be in the Patriots era, it might not have been the Patriots era, like if Patriots and Friends, like it was.
It wouldn't have been the Patriots era. I'm here to say
this team's looking like, that's how I feel. I think that can the Bills win it all is the most legit question going into this season. And I'm telling the truth. We just started a dynasty league, and I took Josh Allen. I was like, I'm not even playing around. I want Josh Allen. Yeah. Unlike my Giants, but that's another story.
No, I agree. I think they can win it all. Will they? That's another question. They have a really, really hard schedule. And it's going to be interesting. I think Josh Allen is amazing. I think the Bills team is amazing. They don't really have any flaws. You know what I mean? That's hard to do on a football team to not really have flaws. And they don't have many. So I think they definitely should be a contender to win it all. They should be a favorite.
They're an elite defense with one of the most, like, I'm sick of saying new school, but like they remind me of how the Niners operate on offense. Everybody has a job and they do their jobs well. Ironically, that's Bill Belichick mantra, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't see a weakness on this Bills team and give it up to coaching or just give it up to all the talent almost at every position.
Yeah,
because they're just nice. It's one of those teams where you're just kind of like, you were worried about it 2 years ago. Are they going to fall off? But like you said, they have a tough schedule this year. So can they weather the storm? Because this is where certain teams, we see who the core is. We see who's going to be here for the long run. Could this be a Nexus event like the Rams had a couple of years ago for the Bills? Like they get there again and they're finally like, okay, now we know where we need to fix. Because the AFC is that deep. So we don't know if they're going to have to adjust to the AFC or the AFC is going to have to adjust to them.
Well, I think the reason why I still think they should be the favorites is because their division is kind of not good. So even if they don't have a top seed, they'll make the playoffs more than likely because they could win their division. And then we know once they're in the playoffs, whether they're home or away, they've proven that they could play wherever. So, I still think they should be the favorites. And I'll just leave it there at that. The next part of it, oh shit, okay. The next part, obviously somebody on the bookshelf doesn't agree. The next part of this is Tyreek and Tua. Do we think it will work? There's been a lot of speculation on whether Tua and Tyreek can work, whether Tua has the arm strength. And I'll say this. No, Tua doesn't have a great arm strength, but I think we've gotten accustomed to the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes of the world that could just flick it 70 yards. That's not realistic. That's superhuman. And there was this play where Tyreek Hill was open. Tua kind of underthrew him. It was still a completion, but it was for a 55-yard completion and not a walking touchdown. And so everybody's like, oh my God, see, this is the point. I'm like, bro, that's a good throw. Like, unfortunately, that's just what it is. It's not going to be the home run hits that he had in Kansas City. That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to come back and go to the ball and just, he's not going to have the walking touchdowns where he's doing the do sign. He's going to have a bunch of big plays where, be a first down, be a big play, but it won't be touchdowns. I think they'll be good. I think it will work, quote unquote. It's just not going to look the same as in Kansas City, where it doesn't matter where on the field he was. Patrick Mahomes could literally just flick it to Tyreek and go from there. It's going to be an adjustment. We'll see. I think Tua is going to get a lot of hate for no reason because it's going to look ugly. There's going to be a lot of replays where it's like, oh my God, Tyreek was open. I'm like,
if they're losing though, who else do you blame?
If they're losing, it's going to be on Tua. Yeah,
it needs to be on Tua. It's a quarterback league, and this is one of the rare situations where it's like that roster ain't bad. Like,
it's not bad, but it's not great either.
I mean, the offense is good enough. Hold on, the offense is good enough. Like, you switch Tua out for any of his contemporaries from that draft and the ones before and after, and which ones can't make Tyreek and Waddle work?
Not true. But again, I see me personally, and there's no shade at Tyreek. I don't think Tyreek's that great of a receiver as everybody else thinks he is. Like everybody,
but I'm just saying, literally, those two wide receivers alone. Like, who's not going to be able to make this work?
Because they're both small, fast guys that get down the field, you want somebody with a big arm. You know what I mean? Those guys need, like, in order to maximize what they do, you do need that guy that has a freaking nature arm strength. Tua doesn't have that. So I don't know if they're going to use them in the short game and try to throw slants to them and let them just create yak yards. I don't know what they're going to do. But if they're expecting Tyreek Hill to just be the deep threat that he was in Kansas City, I don't think that's smart because that's not utilizing what Tua does best. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like Waddle, Tyreek, guys like that, you want the big arm guy because that's what maximizes what they do. So we'll see. We'll see how they structure their offense around them. I think they're going to do more gadget plays, short yardage, medium yardage plays, and have them rack up yak yards. I hope, at least I highly doubt, and I hope that they're not just having those guys run down the field and seeing how far Tua can throw it, because that's just stupid. It's not going to be. That's not going to look good, and it's not going to be conducive to winning. So,
this is the best chance the Dolphins have had in a while to at least compete in their division. I don't think they're winning it because the Bills exist.
They're definitely not winning.
But they have their ceiling. If everything goes right, they can compete.
Yeah, they could be a playoff team for sure.
But that's a big if, and I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. But they're the sleeper. They're a sleeper team for the playoffs in a very deep division, which I think is a compliment in itself.
Yes.
In a weaker year, like if they were in the NFC, we'd feel a lot more comfortable with them making the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I think you're gonna say say that about a lot of teams in the AFC. Like, hey, if they were in the NFC, they'd be a lock for the playoffs. In the AFC,
I mean, the AFC West had 4 teams that would win divisions in the NFC right now.
Absolutely. So to me, here's the most intriguing question on this list, for at least for the AFC East, right? Is Bill being exposed? And I say that because Bill Belichick is considered to be the GOAT. He's considered the greatest coach in the NFL.
He is the GOAT.
We forget he didn't win much before he had Tom Brady. He had jobs. He was with the Browns. He was with some other organizations. It's not like he was this super duper coach before that.
Well, he has rings with the Giants as an assistant.
As an assistant.
Well, he was only the Browns, and then he was the Jets coach for the day, and then he became the Pats coach.
Right. And obviously his whole tenure with the Pats, he had Brady. So, time will tell who was who was more important. But stuff like that, what we're hearing now, it's like, is Bill Belichick really that great, or did he have the GOAT quarterback with him?
Well, I think it's unfair because at the same time, it's a completely different era. They were together for so long that every other coach has the benefit of the doubt. 20 years later, there might be another learning curve into connecting with certain players, especially with the age difference and the culture difference and just how teams work now. I mean, on every level, to compare to when Bill took over and to what Bill's trying to do. We don't know what he's like. He could be actually loved on that team in every way, shape, and form, and it's just him and Brady had this falling out.
Yeah.
Because there's people that say it's just Brady, and that was the Pats culture, which I don't know. I think that's us too, because the Pats did make the playoffs last year.
They did.
We're acting like they sucked, and they didn't suck.
The reason why I say that is because we know that some of Bill's actual coaching decisions has cost him games, if not Super Bowls before. We know that this nonsense that he's doing this year with not having an offensive coordinator, and obviously we'll see if they're terrible this year. I think we got to question it. I really do, because I think sometimes guys, and even him as an executive, I think
hold on. If they suck this year, he still is going. He's not on the hot seat. They haven't sucked.
No. I'm not saying he's going to be on the hot seat. They'll never fire him. But my point is, this GOAT status that he is on might have to be coming into question, only because there have been times where he's made decisions and we're like, "Yo, Bill, like, what are you doing?" And even
that's every coach. I think the issue isn't his coaching. I think the issue is he doesn't need to have the final say in every single pick.
That's true. I was about to say, we know
that's what I don't think the issue at all is his coaching, because everything you say I can say about every single coach, like good or bad. I can literally say those qualities.
Not starting Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl, like that's all time stupid. I'm sorry, because
I just mean on a much simpler level of, I think maybe he's just not the GM, get in a good GM. Just let him coach the team.
Okay, but the Malcolm Butler thing had nothing to do with GM. That was him making a decision.
But how many years ago was that?
Whenever the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
But the Pats won since then.
They won that one shitty ass one against the fucking Rams.
They won.
I understand that. I'm just saying
that one shitty one against the Rams, and the Rams just won again.
Yeah, because the Rams learned from that Super Bowl. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's the crazy dude. No one's arguing that Mac Jones isn't Tom Brady.
And by the way, I'm not saying Bill Belichick sucks as a coach. That's not my question.
Bill Belichick built some beast defenses that helped win rings. I think the biggest knock, because I think Tom Brady's the GOAT. But at the same time, I don't think it's a knock on Tom Brady to acknowledge that these Pats defenses weren't slouches. These Pats defenses, some of the one against the Rams, a lot of people hate on Goff for that one. And when me and you were watching it, you were mad at me because I was like, I think it's cool. Because I was just watching two defenses push the offenses in the face. It's maybe run the ball.
I just look at Bill Belichick over the last couple of years, And I'm seeing a guy that's like, yo, man, you don't seem to like really have it under control now that Brady's gone. And you kind of pushed him out because your philosophy of get rid of him a year too early, as opposed to a year too late. Or as some people think, he pushed him out to prove that it was more him than Brady. Now, I'm not sitting here going with that notion, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, you push Brady out and you have not looked great since then. Yeah, they made the playoffs last year. That's great. But they even last year they never beat anybody good. Like if you look at all their wins, they came against teams that were really, really bad. And once they got to the playoffs, they got blown out. So, it's one of those things.
Yeah, but Tom Brady was on one of the teams that sucked. Like we thought his shit was over against the Titans.
Yeah, the team wasn't good. Yeah, you're right.
But I'm just saying that same team, once he left, did make the playoffs again. So the argument that he did it with nothing and it was just Tom getting this team to the playoffs was also disproven. He won a ring, no doubt. But Bruce Arians isn't a bum-ass coach.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that, like the Bucks weren't a good team. Or I should say they were a good team. They weren't a contender before Brady got there. Like it's overstated the team that Brady got in Tampa, but they weren't the greatest, but they certainly weren't bums. And I think we can kind of say the same, at least give Bill his props, that if the Pats are this bummy, they made the playoffs last year in the AFC.
Yeah, but the AFC wasn't, to what you keep bringing up, the AFC's not, this year ain't the AFC of last year.
That's a different sport. That's a different sport.
No, so it only applies for my Steelers, not for the Patriots. I understand. I understand. Yeah. When your own words come back to bite you. Yes, I know.
Hoisted by my own baton.
Anyway, what can we expect from Zach Wilson in year 2?
It's been a good pod. I'll live it to Brett.
What are you expecting from Zach Wilson in year 2? I think the Jets are in a weird position because if they stink again, it's supposed to be a very good QB class. But I don't think you move on from Zach Wilson after only 2 years, dude. Can you?
It's a situation, and I'm trying not to troll the Jets at all, but it's going to sound like a little bit of a trolly answer, is you got to wait and see. Because if there's a scenario where Wilson played well, but not well enough that you feel like, oh, yeah, we're winning Super Bowls with him, and there's a guy in the draft, and you could trade Wilson for more than you traded Darnold for, and you feel confident in this kid that doesn't have any type of injury, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know what that is yet. Because a couple of years ago, it sounded crazy to trade Sam Darnold for Zach Wilson. So is there a better version of Zach Wilson in this draft? I don't know. I think it's too early to tell that. I think Zach Wilson's ceiling or floor. I think Zach Wilson's floor is good enough that you should hold on to him. But at the same time, he didn't really prove anything. So this was the show and prove year. So if he has a good season, relatively speaking, considering the injury and that the roster isn't that great, that's a good sign. If they're above 500, I think that answers its own question. Because I don't expect them to be above 500, but I don't expect them to be trash. I feel like we should feel like how we felt about the Lions coming out of this season or last season.
I think
that the Lions are this chippy young team that you can't just walk over anymore. And that's what the Jets are aiming for. And I mean, as like their floor. That should be your floor. Above 500, good Lord. You know what I mean? Like, just be happy.
I don't see any scenario where they're above 500. However, I do see a scenario where, the win-loss, like you said, like the Lions, the win-losses aren't there, but you were in every game. You played well. You were chippy. My thing is, with Zach Wilson specifically, let's say you do go 3 and whatever, right? But the offense is superb, right? You got you got Garrett Wilson now. You got Elijah Mitchell. You have those 2 running backs. If the offense looks really good, and it's like, hey, look, if we just get this defense together, we'll be really good. Then, I don't think you move on from Zach Wilson. If you're struggling and it's because you're struggling to score points or move the football up and down the field with the supposed weapons that you now have at your disposal, that's when it's like, okay, well, maybe Zach Wilson isn't that guy. And he could be like a Jameis Winston type, where it's like, hey, we see the talent, but he's just turning the ball over left and right, not making good decisions. That has to be factored in as well. Do you think he can fix those mistakes? Because if he can't, you got to get rid of him. If you think that's something that can be fixed, then sure, you keep him. But how many more cracks at that apple do you want if it's a turnover issue? Because turnovers are weird, man. They either get fixed or they don't. Like, there's no in between. Like, I don't think we've ever seen a guy that's like, oh yeah, he kind of fixes his turnovers. It's either he fixed them or he did not. So it's one of those weird things that's what they're gonna have to monitor. How good does he play? How good is his offense? Because I think a lot of people believe they have weapons, not anything crazy, but they have enough weapons where they shouldn't be a bottom 5 offense, right? If they're a bottom 5, even bottom 10 offense, I think that's alarming. And I think
I don't even know if it's alarming, man. It's not that impressive of an offense. And I'm saying that as a defense of Zach Wilson. Like, it is not an impressive offense. We were drafting yesterday. Everyone was talking about, where Michael Carter's going and like, oh, he's definitely the second best back on the team. He's not. He can still be the starter. We don't know. This whole roster is full of question marks, and we'll see who the keepers might be halfway through the season, hopefully. But this whole team is a question mark.
They got some talent, man. They got some talent.
The whole league got some talent. There's Texan fans. There's people in Texas doing the equivalent of the Dope blog talking about the Texans right now. Like, they got some talent, man. Like, the Jets, no one outside the tri-state is talking about the Jets.
I'm not saying they got to be a top 10 offense. I'm saying if they're a bottom 10 offense, I think that's a problem. They got too much talent to be a bottom 10 offense, in my opinion. In my opinion, a bottom 10 offense would be bad. They have a good offensive line. They have good tight ends. They have good receivers. They have good running backs. They supposedly have a good quarterback. If you have good at every position on offense, you shouldn't be bottom 10.
How are they not bottom 10?
Offensively this year?
Yeah. There's 10 teams with worse offensive weapons than the Jets?
Yes, for sure. Your Giants are one of them.
Okay, sure. Even though no, but okay. Because our wide receivers are better than the Jets wide receivers. Period. Saquon Barkley is better than everybody on the Jets offense when healthy.
Okay, let's see. All right.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? It's like, yeah, that's how bad the Jets are.
I don't know, but I don't know about that.
Okay, Kadarius Toney wouldn't be the starting wide receiver on the Jets.
He'd be a starting wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, like he should like.
But I think Garrett Wilson's better than him.
Okay.
What do you mean? And y'all were debating me yesterday that Garrett Wilson's their second wide receiver.
I don't think it's true, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's true. I just like to be serious.
Garrett Wilson was the 10th pick in the draft, and everybody said, yes, a great pick. Y'all took Toney at 20, and people said, that might have been a reach. So that tells you right there who people thought were better coming out of college. What do you mean?
Coming out of college, okay, but like, it's the pros. I'm not talking about the draft. I'm talking about.
It's not like Kadarius Toney had this amazing rookie season that made us say, "Oh my God, this Kadarius Toney guy." He played well, but he didn't.
Okay, but I'm saying that the wide receivers on the Giants are better than the Jets. Shep, bum ass Kenny Golladay, like and Kadarius Toney.
I don't know. Overall, I think I would take the Jets' weapons.
Okay. Name 9 more teams.
Now Saquon's the best player of all. Yes, I agree with that. Saquon as a player is better than everybody on the Jets and Giants combined offensively. But I think overall, I think I would take the Jets core, the Jets, overall weapons. The Bears obviously have a worse offensive package. Who else is the Seahawks? No, because Seahawks are only bad because they're quarterback.
Yep.
Who else has really bad weapons?
Not going to get worse than the Jets and the Giants, sure.
I said the Bears. I said the Giants. The Falcons.
No, definitely not. The Falcons have better weapons. Kyle Pitts is better than everything on the Jets.
Again, that's one player.
That one player is way better, like a whole tier better.
They have Kyle Pitts and who else? You can't even name anybody.
Gage.
Russell Gage is better than everybody on the Jets.
not everybody, but if he's the number 2, that's already a better target than like what are we matching up with? Like,
Russell Gage is their number 1 target.
No, Kyle Pitts is their number 1 target.
He's their number 1 receiver. Yeah.
Calvin Ridley's also on the Falcons.
Oh, that's right. Oh, well, he's not playing this year, so you
don't. No. Like, you want to keep losing at this game because we can keep going. You can't think of it, bro. That's the whole point of this exercise. There's not 10 worse offenses than the Jets and the Giants. You're not getting it.
Okay, maybe you're right. Wow.
All right, go to the other division. I'll be right back.
Why would I start the next division? Okay, fine. Oh yeah, let's start the next division because I don't even want you to be here for this. AFC North. Should I just talk about my Steelers while he's not here to yell at me about my Steelers? No, I'll wait for him. The Lamar contract. I think the Lamar contract is interesting. Reportedly, he wants basically more, just as much, if not more, than Deshaun Watson. For those of you who don't know or forgot, Deshaun Watson has $230 million, all guaranteed from the Cleveland Browns. So Lamar Jackson is looking at that and saying, well, if that's the standard, I should be higher than the standard because I have accomplished more than Deshaun Watson, which he has. He was a unanimous MVP. Deshaun Watson's never won an MVP. He's won some playoff games already. Deshaun Watson's won a couple playoff games as well. But Lamar Jackson has, accomplished basically more than Deshaun Watson has. And so Lamar Jackson wants what Deshaun Watson has, which is a fully guaranteed $230+ million contract. And the Ravens are saying, no, we're not giving you that. Mostly because the Browns shouldn't have given Deshaun Watson that. But just because they were stupid enough to give Deshaun Watson that does not mean we have to be stupid enough to match that. Russell Wilson just got his latest contract. He's making 56 million guaranteed or something like that.
Money. Wait, no, Russell who? Wilson?
Yeah, he just
he got. I think he got up in the 2s, didn't he?
No, I'm talking about guaranteed money.
Oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah, guaranteed money. Kyler Murray, I think, is second most with 189 million.
God
damn. Guaranteed. He has a 230 that Deshaun got, but only 189 of it is guaranteed. To me, I think Lamar should go for 200 million guaranteed. You can get 250, but the 200 million guaranteed. I think that's a good settlement.
This is one of those things where why does Lamar keep getting the hate? Because how are these? Like what you said, Lamar gets exposed for not being able to get his team further than he's already gotten. And some of these dudes that didn't get further than Lamar are getting paid.
Yeah, Kyler Murray hasn't won a playoff game yet.
Like, what are we talking about? Like, but Lamar's the only one that can't get paid from the team he's bowled out for.
Well, but see, I think that I don't think he can't get paid. I think he's stuck on I want more than Deshaun Watson. And I don't think that's realistic because I understand that you want to continue to reset the market, but sometimes, you got to understand the market isn't always going to do that. Deshaun Watson shouldn't have gotten what he got. He just shouldn't have. And at the end of the day, a team is not going to reset the market based on what Deshaun Watson got. Eventually, somebody will make more than Deshaun Watson, but it's not going to be anytime soon, I don't think. So if I'm Lamar, I think I look at Kyler Murray's contract and I say, fine, as long as I get more guaranteed than Kyler Murray, I'm good. Whether that's 195, whether that's 200. And I think the Ravens will do that. I think as long as Lamar Jackson is stuck on that 250 mark, because I think from what we're hearing, and again, take it for what you want, but again, Lamar Jackson has commented on it as well, which kind of makes it sound like it's all true. Lamar wants $250 million guaranteed. He's not going to get that, especially as a running quarterback. There's no way I'm doing that because your game is primarily built on your running ability, which means you're going to get hit, which means the chance of you getting injured early into that contract are heavy. You're just coming off an injury at that. I love Lamar. I love black quarterbacks. I want them to succeed. I would not give that. I would not give that to them. I really wouldn't. Again, if you can get 190 to 200, I think you take it and you are happy that you can get your contract done. That's just how I look at it.
I agree with the hesitation from the Ravens makes sense. Lamar asking for what he's asking for makes sense. It's tough. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get something nice, though. It doesn't make sense that Watson got that guaranteed and Kyler got that guaranteed and Lamar's here without a contract. Like something's not right here. And it's not a good look for the Ravens. It might be their first major misstep as far as like their perception.
Well, I wouldn't say that because we don't know what they're offering him. Again,
I guess you're right. I guess you are right.
If he's not budging from I want $250 million guaranteed, and that's the only thing he'll accept, we don't know what they're offering. You know what I mean? They could have offered him over 200 already, and he might say, no, I want more than Deshaun Watson. And it's like, bro, the Cleveland Browns were desperate, and they made a desperate plea to get a player that they desperately wanted. That does not mean that every other team has to suffer for their desperation. That was a terrible contract. Not because Deshaun Watson as a player isn't worth it. You gave it to a guy that was the black eye of the league at the time. It still is the black eye of the league. And you gave it to him. And so a lot of players are saying, wait a minute. And if you're Lamar, you're saying the same thing. Like, yo, man, I'm an outstanding citizen outside the field. I give back to the community. I do this, I do that. I would never push on a bad situation the way Deshaun did. If he's going to get that much money, we deserve that much in the
division.
Yeah. So I get where Lamar's sitting there saying that. But, you know, again, we talked about this before. I told you the league wanted to hurt Deshaun Watson in terms of suspensions because of that. Because like, yo, y'all fucked us by you giving him that money. Every player that comes to the negotiating table is going to demand this now. And they have every right to demand it because one, that's how it goes in the NFL. Once you reset the market, we always go from there. And two, as great as Deshaun Watson has been, he hasn't accomplished as much as some of these other great quarterbacks. So any other great quarterback has every right to say, well, if Deshaun's getting that, I should get this. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't, I get both sides of it. It's a really hard negotiating tactic on both sides because if you're the NFL or any team, I think you are desperately clinging on to hold on to the non-guaranteed, fully guaranteed contracts. Because once you start making that a trend, you can never go back. And two, if you're a player, you're saying, no, there's no way that this guy should be representing our league as the highest paid player in the league. Like, that's a bad look for the league if this guy is the highest paid player in the league. So I get both sides of it. But if you're the Ravens, I don't know how you can do that, especially if Lamar Jackson is a running quarterback. If he was more of a pocket quarterback that could run and a guy that you thought would be here for another 10, 15 years at a high level, I don't think this is even a question they would give it to him. You know what I mean? Like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson can run, but he's more of a pocket passer who can run. Lamar Jackson's a running quarterback who can throw. There's a difference.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. It's just, I guess we got to know if he's really held up on the same guaranteed money number. We don't know what it is. I guess we'll figure it out soon because this is the last year of his contract.
Yeah, but remember, they could franchise him next 2 years if they wanted to.
Oh yeah. This might be far from over. Hopefully he gets the bag, man.
I want him to get the bag. He's a good dude. He's proved all the doubters wrong. He is their franchise. They built their entire offense around him, so they're gonna pay him. You know what I mean? Like, they can't just get rid of him because then they would have to restructure everything on their offense. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's why this is so surprising, especially after seeing like Russell get the bag and not just Watson, but you know what I mean? Like, just seeing how the league is
even
moved.
Then Russell Wilson, I think, helped the Ravens here because Russell Wilson took a lesser deal than Kyler Murray got. So that hurts. And Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. So that hurts Lamar Jackson's argument of why he should get what he wants to get. Now, obviously, he could always argue Russell Wilson's older. So, you know what I mean? He always has that.
Russell Wilson's older and in the same division. Like, that has to count for something.
Yeah. Yeah, I get both sides. I think, again, if the rumors are true, I think the holdup is Lamar is not backing down from this 230 number. And I think that's the holdup. And I think he's going to have to. If you're the Ravens, give him 200 M's guaranteed. You can say 250, right? Like, hey, we'll pay you 250, more, which is more than Deshaun Watson, but only 190 to 200 of it is guaranteed. And if you're Lamar, I think you got to take it. I really do. I really do, because that will then set up the next guy to get more than Deshaun Watson. But if you keep holding the line and you never get the deal, I think it furthers the stance that an NFL team has to not give somebody that type of bag. So that's my opinion on that. Next thing I have is Bengals, man. Bengals shocked the world last year. Went not only made the playoffs, won the division, beat the Chiefs twice in that year. People forget that they beat them in the regular season as well, and went to the Super Bowl. And we're literally had the game-winning play in hand, if not for their shitty offensive line. Jamar Chase had Jalen Ramsey beat like a drum. It would have been a walking game-ending touchdown. But Aaron Donald, being Aaron Donald, was able to get to Joe Burrow and said, "Ring me, please, ring me."
And real quick, Jamar Chase finished 4th in receiving yards. He had 1455 receiving yards. Only Devonta Adams, Justin Jefferson, and then at the top, Cooper Kupp were better than him last year at receiving. So this team is only an O-line away from being just straight up scary. I say only an O-line. They've made improvements in the offseason, but I don't think they're going to have this fall off. I hope they don't, but I really don't see them having the Super Bowl hangover, being the loser of the Super Bowl, and maybe they won't get back to the Super Bowl, but I definitely think they're in contention for the North. The North might go through them this year based off some of the offseason moves they made to strengthen their O-line.
Yeah.
And if everyone can stay healthy, I don't see.
They strengthen their O-line and they strengthen their defense a little bit. So, and here's the thing. I don't think they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover, because I think that play is going to haunt them when you had the game-winning play in hand. And it's like, damn, we could have just protected better for like 2 more seconds. We would have won.
Who they would be world champs.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover. However, usually when you're the team that shocks the world, you do have the hangover of you're no longer the underdog, right? People are gunning for you. People are preparing for you. You're getting everybody's best. So I do think that will be a factor this year. I do think their schedule will be a factor this year. I agree with you. Right now, I would still make them the favorites to win the division.
Which means a lot in this AFC.
Yeah, I just don't think that they're going to – a lot of people are thinking, like, oh, my God, they're going to be unstoppable this year because they got their O-line fixed. I don't think that's the case. It's not that simple, right? In football –
I mean, that offense is disgusting, man. They're all young. The oldest dude is still a young dude in Joe Mixon.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're going to be a really good team. But I think a lot of people think they're going to be like an unstoppable juggernaut this year. I don't think – they're not the Bills. Let's just put it that way. Well, me and you were saying, look, their hard schedule is the only thing that's going to stop the Bills, along with injury, obviously. I don't think that's the same thing with the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to be a really good team, but they're going to get everybody's best shot this year. Where before, I don't think they did, because they were still the Bengals. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't just the fact that they were young. Historically, the Bengals have never been a true contender. So now that people know.
No, when they were a true contender, none of us were alive for it.
Right.
That's a big factor in it, too, that us, guys in our 30s, weren't alive for it. So, a lot of these dudes who are younger than us in this league definitely don't have any memory of a contending Bengals team. This is it.
I mean,
I don't see
honestly,
them sucking,
honestly, only Tom Brady probably remembers when the Bengals were
fucked up. Yeah.
So, but I think they're going to get everybody's best shot. Again, I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I still think they're going to be a really good team. I just don't. I think people are putting him on that Bills level and that Chiefs level. I'm like, I don't think they're there yet.
I think they are, man. Oh, because of
I
Burrow.
think they need another year because again, it's different when you're the hunted and not the hunters.
Burrow, Chase, T. Higgins, Mixon. That's a.
But like, I'm not denying the talent. Again, it's a mindset. Remember, even at LSU, they came out of nowhere and won. You know what I mean? So this is
Out of nowhere at LSU, air quotes that out of nowhere.
LSU wasn't a juggernaut when they LSU wasn't a
It's not that
favorite.
they're a juggernaut, but they're always contending.
Not always, not at that time. They're not
When you
even
talk about LSU basketball with Ben Simmons, we're talking about LSU football, correct?
I understand that, but LSU was not. This wasn't the Les Miles Tigers anymore. Like they had a no name guy in Ed Ogeron at the time. You know what I mean? Like
I get what you mean, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't like he took BYU to the national title.
I understand that he didn't take Rutgers to the national title game.
He'd be our favorites then. We would be like, oh my god, Joey
Burrow for life,
Jersey Joe.
But the point is LSU wasn't. They weren't supposed to win the title. This is the first time where it's like, hey man, the whole world is gunning for you. How are you gonna?
I think Joe Burrow is looking at that like bet.
No, I agree with that. But that's what I'm saying. I think they need a year. Let them be a favorite for a year. Get used to that, and then I think they'll be off and running. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm with you in that sense. I don't think they're making it back to the Super Bowl this year. I think the Bengals are taking a step back this season in particular to the Bills. I think however that works it out, it could be the Bills, it could be somebody from the AFC West, but the Bengals, that's why I don't think the North is contending in that sense. I honestly think it's the Bills here. Like, I think it's their conference to take. Like, it feels like that. If they feel like how the Chiefs felt like 3 years ago. Like this team is going to win soon. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it feels. It feels inevitable. And I know there's plenty of Buffalo fans that like, please don't say that. But it is. If they feel like the most serious contenders they've had since Jim Kelly was under center.
I agree. And hold
on. We're going to the South now.
No. We're going right here. But I wanted to fix this because it was bothering me. Next thing.
I was going to make a whole bunch of jokes. Is Hollywood Brown in trouble?
The Browns, I think they're in real trouble here. And here's what I mean by that.
Sucks to be pieces of shit, don't it?
Yeah.
Alleged pieces of shit.
I think they were short-sighted in the Deshaun Watson thing. If you look at their future salary cap, it's not good. And I understand the salary cap is going to keep going up. They had a lot of money this year, but going forward, especially once Deshaun Watson's contract starts to come into play, they're not going to have much. And as I looked at the Browns roster, especially offensively, oh, by the way, the Browns, another one. As I looked at the Browns roster offensively, their weapons aren't good. Their running backs are good. Amari Cooper, who is outside of his prime, is decent. You can't even name me another.
Browns are definitely have better weapons than the Jets. Amari Cooper would be the number one on the Jets. Both running backs would be better running backs than the current running backs they have. That's a better offense. Come on.
Okay, the Browns' offense is not good. Is what I'm trying to get you to understand.
Yeah, but we're not. But your whole point is trying. That's another one. No, it's not another one. Actually, I'm just saying they're not better. Like,
I don't know if Amari Cooper is a better wide receiver than, like, bro, Amari Cooper, and I love Amari Cooper. We were talking about yesterday, guys that we used to always have on our draft teams. I used to draft Amari Cooper every single year. I don't know if he's that guy anymore. I really don't. Okay. I think he's a year.
Push. I'll put, you know what I mean? Like, fine. You know what I mean? I'll give the Jets receiver some more credit, and then I'll lower Cooper's credit. It's a push.
No, again, we agree. Running backs, yes. Nick Chubb is a phenomenal alone.
I'm just sticking up for the run game. Like, that counts as weapons, guys. You know what I mean? Like,
no. Yes, I said weapons. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But the point I'm making is that Cleveland offense isn't that great. Deshaun Watson will obviously make them better. Deshaun Watson has also proven that he can make a lot work with a little bit of talent. We forget he led the league in passing yards the year D.O.P.E was already in Arizona when he had no-name weapons and he led the league in passing yards. So he can make that offense work. But the point of matter is, once their salary cap starts to be a problem and they got to start taking pieces away, it's like, dude, if you're not the best roster now, I don't think it's going to be much better going forward. And now you're asking Deshaun Watson to be great in a great conference and win you a Super Bowl, because that's why you did this. You didn't do this to make the playoffs. Baker already proved he could get you to the playoffs when he's healthy. So you did this to win the Super Bowl. And the point is, if your salary cap is going to mess you up going forward, I don't know if the Browns are ever going to get close. And so you stained your reputation hitching your wagon to this guy who has all these alleged stuff going on with him, and you don't even make a Super Bowl.
Yo, I just want to point out, I'm happy you laid it out beautifully, bro. I only have something to add to your points, both now and in the present. Years ago, many moons ago, I remember I told Brett, like, every Madden, I always pick the Browns, the rebuild, do the road to glory type of thing and rebuild the franchise. Always adding like the Ohio State quarterbacks, having a nasty run game, going to the Super Bowl, because they're the Browns, man. They're like the chippy ones. They're the underdogs. As Brett has said himself, before he went to Ohio, he felt like there was a kinship between us and Jersey and them. And then through the years of being closer to the situation, you just realize, nah, the Browns are ass and they don't deserve shit. And if the last couple of years have proved anything to me, it's not less so the Browns fans, because what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, it was a tough situation. I'm sure me and Brett would feel mixed feelings if Deshaun Watson was our quarterback right now. But the Browns in particular, with how they did Baker after he played with an injury, and he was your number one pick. Like, he wasn't a bust. He wasn't a bust. Me and Brett both, a Steelers fan, defending him as a bust. Like, it's a little harsh to call him a bust. He still got to prove it. The same dude, at least there's some consistency here, because he's given the elder Nets time to build a championship. He was given more time to the Browns than they've had. And they just kind of said, yeah, fuck it, win now. And then you literally sell your soul to the football devil. Give the dude guaranteed money after years of throwing shade at the Steelers for Big Ben. And I'm not here to pick apart bad to bad or evil to evil. That's fucking pointless anyway. But you literally are now, you threw the stone, and then you're like, oh yeah, our house is glass. And now you're just trying to stab your way with a shard of glass to a championship in a deep division. And I don't even know if they're better. Like, what you said about Deshaun Watson is true. Great college quarterback, great quarterback so far in the pros. He's an upgrade from Baker Mayfield, no doubt. The defense is still there. Like, the Browns defense ain't go nowhere. So he's arguably got the best defense. I'm just saying, Watson's arguably got the best defense he's ever played with. I know Watt's great, but he wasn't the whole defense. And this defense is probably the best collection that he's ever played with. And Amari Cooper, besides D.O.P.E, might be the best target he's had. Because he didn't have Andre Johnson, right? Like, that's two different eras.
And if he did, it was like towards the end of his career.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the same era. But that's my point. Older Amari Cooper might be of the best wide receiver he's had since Hopkins. So I'm not saying that for a certain. I didn't watch every Texans game. I'm not pretending I did.
No, that's a fact. Will Fuller, like, come on, stop.
Shit, you had that loaded. You're like, fuck Will Fuller. Like, what?
Will Fuller was good, but Will Fuller never was healthy.
You know, Brett picked Will Fuller in fantasy one year. He was playing Madden one night at somebody's house, threw the touchdown game winning pass. Will Fuller drops it. Like, it's something like that that's deep in Brett's mind that he just went, yeah, fucking Will Fuller.
Like, yeah, he was never healthy. Yes, fuck my fantasy team all up.
Nice. But yeah, I like the Browns are the most like. Does it even count this year? Because if they suck this year, get a high pick, and then they pick somebody that gets us all hyped.
We'll go to Houston anyway, so I hope they suck.
Fuck the Browns. Anyway, let's move on to a more entertaining team, a more likable team, a team with a rich history, a more recent history of losing the said Browns in the playoffs, but a team full of players I personally like and Brett personally loves. And I'm being sincere about that. Najee Harris is a fucking beast. And Brett, for all the shade I might throw at his offense and what I don't think they're going to be, I ain't said boo about Najee Harris since y'all drafted him. So and George Pickens, hype about the rookie, Jersey Kenny Pickett. Like, there's a lot of things that you guys are you especially, but are super excited about. Do you feel that the Steelers will shock the world? And define what you mean by shock the world.
So the reason why I put shock in quotation marks is because I don't think it should be a shock. I think so. Here's the funny thing, right? There's a lot of Steelers fans that thinks that Mike Tomlin's overrated, right? They think the stat that he's never had a losing season is overrated, stuff like that. This is one of those years that prove them right. Because when we have a winning season and when we make the playoffs, everybody's gonna be like, oh my God, Mike Tomlin did it again. He pulled a rabbit out of the hat. There's no way they should have made the playoffs. And I'm sitting there looking at everybody. I'm like, are y'all like ridiculous? Like, do you see our roster? We have a really good roster. We've made the playoffs the last 2 years. I understand the AFC is better. I get that. But I think what people forget is they're catching up. A lot of the teams that got better are catching up to where we were, and we also got better. So again, the Broncos were one of the worst teams in the league last year. They're the ninth pick in the draft. They traded a lot to get Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson makes them better. But now they're going from a bottom 10 team to what we were last year, which is a potential playoff team, right? Same thing with the Chargers, same thing with the Raiders. All these teams were below where we were, got better, and now they're past where we were last year. But the problem is we're better than what we were last year too. Our linebackers were one of our weaknesses. We got Miles Jack and we added Brian freaking Flores as our linebackers coach. So our linebackers are now going to be a strength. Offensive line, I'll get to them in a second. Quarterback play is going to be better. Ben Roethlisberger was not good last year. He just was not good. You could throw any numbers out there. He was not good. So whether it's Mitchell Trubisky, which I think it is, I think they announced that just now today. Well, he's a captain, so I'm guessing he's going to be a starter.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Whether it's Mitchell Trubisky,
gagged a little bit.
Whether it's Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett, our quarterback play
should be Kenny Pickett, man.
I agree. I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Whether it's him or Pickett, there's going to be better than what Ben Roethlisberger was giving us last year. So our offense is better. Oh, and by the way, we added more weapons on offense. George Pickens was my favorite player going into the draft. I think he should have been wide receiver 1 had he not gotten hurt. We got him in the second round. Calvin Austin was another guy. We haven't seen him because he had a foot injury, but everybody's been raving how great he was doing in training camp. It was another guy that a lot of people were looking at. We got him. We got better offensively, adding to the weapons we already had, and we have an improved quarterback play, and we're going to have a better defense, and we still have great coaching. Oh, and by the way, our coaching staff got better because I love Terrell Austin as our new defensive coordinator, and like I said, we got Brian freaking Flores on our staff, on our defensive staff right now. So everybody's looking at the Steelers and like, oh man, I think this is the first time that he's going to have a losing season. I just don't see how they're winning games. And I'm looking at people like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? One, the AFC is so good. That's great. You know what? Who we don't have to play? Half the AFC. You idiots. It's called a schedule. We don't play everybody in the AFC. We don't play the Chiefs. We don't play the Chargers. We don't play the Broncos. We don't have to play these teams. The only great teams in the AFC that we have to play are the Bengals, which, by the way, first game of the season, week 1. As you know, that's always a toss-up game because you never know how teams play week 1.
Man, I don't want to see Mitch Trubisky in that game. As a fan, I'm not even trying to hate on him.
Me personally, I don't either, but it is what it is. I'm living with it. I understand why they're doing it. You don't want to bring him in too early because God forbid.
How real is it that he throws a pick? His first pick 6. Everyone made a hype about this offseason. You know how this is football. You know how football is. When all offseason now, the people have said that stat you told me months ago when you first signed. You know he's never thrown a pick 6, and it's just one of those crazy stats. Now the whole world knows. first game is a rivalry game. I'm predicting a pick six in that game. And not only is it a pick six, that first pick six is going to get his ass benched for Kenny Pickett. like Tomlin is going to be like, here, like, that's tough, son. Sit your ass down.
my point is the schedule for us is actually really favorable. We play the Bengals at Cincinnati week 1. If there's any time you want to play the Bengals at Cincinnati, it's week 1. Because again, week 1, you never know how sloppy.
Usually they're coming off a hot season. You know that crowd's gonna be.
Oh no, absolutely. But I'm saying week 1, you know, it's fugazi a lot of times. You never know who's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
You never know who's gonna be. And to our advantage, they don't know what we're running. You know what I mean? Like we have new quarterbacks. We have an offensive system that, as I pointed out to you several times, they said that we didn't run like damn near half the stuff we wanted to run because Ben Roethlisberger refused to do it. So there's very little tape on our offense. We at least know what they're going to do. Now, can we stop it? That's a different scenario. But at least we can at least prepare for them better than they can prepare for us. You know what I mean? So that like week 1 at Cincinnati, that's a game that you might be able to steal. When you play the Bills, again, we played the Bills last year in Buffalo week 1, stole that game because, again, their offense was just sloppy that game. We play the Bills again this year. I would say that would be a blowout because of last year, but they play the Ravens the week before us and the Chiefs the week after us. So we're kind of like a trap game in that game. And those are our 2 hardest games of the season, believe it or not. We have other tough matchups all year, but those are probably what I would consider the 2 hardest games all year. And they're both in favorable times during the season. So again, we don't face some of these other teams. So we can beat up on a relatively weak, quote unquote, schedule, win more, have a winning record and make the playoffs, maybe even fuck around and win the division. Because like I said, the Bengals might have a tough time with what they got going on. And people will say, oh my God, Mike Tomlin.
The biggest reason I don't think you guys can make it any other way than winning the division, and I got you behind the Bengals winning the division still, is because the West looks like they're going to take up both wild card spots.
We'll get to that next. Yeah. I'm not saying we will win the division. I'm saying there's a chance, only because, again,
there is a chance. I'm the bigger man all the time on this pod. I can admit when Brett has convinced me of a point.
Yeah, like
all summer. It may have took all summer, but this man over here has convinced me there's more likely a chance than not that these Steelers do make the playoffs.
Again, the biggest thing is the schedule, man. The Bengals have a hard ass schedule. We don't, and that's what.
You don't, and the AFC is deep enough that you're probably going to get 10 wins if Tomlin is just who we think he is.
And people are going to say, "Oh my God, Mike!"
Because Kenny Pickett, again, looked good in preseason, but he looked good in preseason, and the knowing the fact that y'all were just not running shit that you can run and that you will run, though no one has seen. I have enough faith in your coaching and your defense to get you some of these 50-50 toss-up games. I just don't think the 50-50 toss-up games are going towards the AFC teams with the better quarterback, Bengals included. That's why I'm not giving you that one.
So for instance, at home against Cincinnati week whatever, that's going to be a blowout. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm saying at Cincinnati week 1, and even if you lose that game, again, we play the Bills and we play the Bengals all week, all within the first 5 weeks. Okay, we play the Patriots, Jets, and the Falcons or something like that. So we should easily be 3-2 after week 5. And like I said, those are 2 hardest games all year. So then when you look at the rest of the, okay, great. If we're 3-2, and like I said, that's at worst. If you were able to steal one of those games, you might be 4-1. You know what I mean? Like the more you look at the schedule, and even
that's if your quarterback play isn't completely putrid.
Yeah, and I don't think it will be. Now, I will say this: the one thing that scares me is our offensive line has not looked good. And that really pisses me off because you knew it was a problem going into the season. And fun fact, we have the cheapest offensive line in the league. We have spent the least amount of money on the offensive line in the entire league. And a lot of people say, well, that's because like 3 of the guys are on the rookie contract. I don't care. You knew they sucked. You knew that they had to be replaced. And we had cap space, by the way. It's not like we don't. We still have, I think, some of the most cap space in the league. Now, we made a couple of trades the last couple of days after cuts, so we'll see what the offensive line looks like. But at the end of the day, our offensive line had to be much improved, and it's not. That's the one thing that scares me, because especially the reason why I believe that Kenny Pickett should start is because he has played better with a bad offensive line than Mitchell Trubisky has. Mitchell Trubisky, I get Mitchell Trubisky has done nothing to lose his job. However, our offense has looked smoother with Kenny Pickett, because Mitchell Trubisky's first instinct is to run around and try to make something out of nothing. Kenny Pickett has been short, decisive. He's pre-diagnosing the plays early, and he's getting the ball and he's getting it out of his hands to the right guy for big plays, where Mitchell Trubisky is using his legs to make big plays. And as you know, when you have a bad offensive line, you can only do that so much. You know what I mean? So I see our offense stalling out more with Mr. Trubisky than with Kenny Pickett. By the way, Kenny Pickett's thrown more touchdowns than Mr. Trubisky over the preseason. And Mr. Trubisky has had way more offensive reps than Kenny Pickett has. That tells you something. Again, Mitchell Trubisky has not played bad. If we had a great offensive line, I wouldn't mind Mitchell Trubisky at all. As you know, I've been bigging up Mr. Trubisky, but with our offensive line being as bad as it is, I think the fact that Kenny Pickett has been processing shit a lot faster, to me, is the reason why he should start. But I know why they're not going to do it, and it's okay. I'm okay with it. Because God forbid he doesn't play well, you can't go to the fan base and be like, oh, well, don't worry, we still have Mr. Trubisky. Everybody's going to be like, yay. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do it the other way around. So I get that. I like I said, I think we're going to make the playoffs. Whether we win the division or not will depend on how well the Bengals and Ravens play. I don't want to forget the Ravens, because they were injured last year. They'll be back.
Like 20-something injuries.
Yeah, bro. They were playing with high school guys by the end of the year. So they'll definitely be good, but they have a hard schedule too. So, this is for the Mike Tomlin haters. This is for you, because when we made the playoffs and everybody, says Mike Tomlin's the new GOAT, everybody's gonna roll their eyes, because they're gonna be like, bro, you're giving him too much credit for a team that you guys keep undervaluing. I think that's the point. There's been a lot of years where people have undervalued the Steelers, and then when we've quote unquote over met expectations, it's like, oh my God, Mike Tomlin's like, no, you idiots just didn't know what you were talking about when you thought we were going to win 5 games all year.
It's okay, Brett. It's okay.
AFC South.
It's going to be the fastest one so far.
Yes, it will. Matt Ryan, will he be the difference? I think so. Well, I really like this Colts team. Their offensive weapons are still. That's another one you might argue is not as good. Jonathan Taylor obviously is amazing. That's another one. That's another one you might argue that overall their offensive weapons aren't that great. But Matt Ryan, I think, has played really well for the Falcons the last couple of years, despite the fact that they haven't been winning. If they get anything out of their wide receivers this year, I think they'll be scary. I really do. Will they win the title?
But they're the best shot in this division outside the Titans to win the division.
Yeah. The Titans will be fine too.
Again, yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, okay.
The Titans will be fine too. I don't know why everybody's counting out the Titans. We forget AJ Brown and Julio Jones barely played last year, and they had the number 1 seed in the AFC. We forget that. Everybody looks at Tannehill not playing well against the Bengals because his offensive line didn't give him any fucking time to throw the ball, and now all of a sudden Ryan Tannehill sucks again. Guys, relax. Stop overreacting to one game. Derrick Henry was out half the year, and they still made the fucking playoffs and won the division.
Tannehill isn't the best, but am I going to say old Matt Ryan is definitively going to be better in a completely new situation? I don't know. I think Matt Ryan is better even at his age, but the Titans, like what Brett said, King Henry is still here. Until he falls off, we can't act like he fell off.
By the way, I'm not including Derrick Henry. What about their offensive weapons compared to the Jets?
But you said it. Like, I think they're better. Like, they were hurt.
Overall, no, but they don't have AJ Brown anymore or Julio.
Fuck yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
Maybe. But you have to say besides King Henry. Like
Well, no,
besides
because
the all-world running back.
no, because
Besides
again,
him.
we understand there's individual players, but as an offensive core, you know what I mean? Like that factors into it.
I forget who the tight end is because that offense is tight. It like matters who the tight end is too.
I don't even know who the tight end is anymore.
That goes to your point. So I'll give you that. I'll give you the Titans. Ironically, because they're a playoff team.
All right, Jets, we're getting there.
You got two teams, the Giants and the Titans.
We're getting there.
You only need 8 more.
We're moving up the rank. Okay, maybe. All right, how about this bottom 5? They should be a bottom 5.
You know you ain't getting 10. You know you ain't getting 10.
I'm trying.
We can make the argument now. The Texans and the Jags might have equal or better wide receivers.
The Texans? Who's on it?
Brandon Cooks.
Okay, who else is on the Texans?
I don't know who else is on the Jets, Brett. like, how many names do I need?
That's why I put more than one. That's what I'm saying.
Do I need more than one? Do I need more than one? Do I need?
Oh my! You know we're not. It says who cares about the Texans. We're not going to talk about the Texans. Trevor.
Thank you. I was, I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention enough, and I think you're going to be in the bottom. I feel like Trevor Lawrence, and I'm going to say something so similar to the Bears, but Trevor Lawrence and the Jags could be another sleeper team, not to make the playoffs, but just to be a lot better and to have that feeling like the Lions had last.
I think the Jags are going to be sneaky good. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games, but they're going to be hard to beat.
I think they'll win more games than we think they're going to win.
Yeah.
So I feel like let's see how Travis Etienne blends in now. Let's see how Trevor Lawrence is looking, because if he doesn't look any better, yikes. You know what I mean? And that's not, and it sucks because if he doesn't look any better, that sucks for the Jags, because I was hype about him in college. I remember you were less hype for different reasons. You still thought he'd be good. So if he's a bust like that, that just sucks. That's like people are gonna be like, ha ha ha, Jags. That's not fair, man. That's some Ryan Leaf level floppage if Trevor Lawrence doesn't improve to at least be a good starting quarterback.
Which I think he will.
He needs to. He needs to be better than he was last year. But everyone's giving him the benefit of the doubt that last year was a dumpster fire.
Well, yeah, because Urban Meyer, and they should have. So
yeah, and you predicted that. So
yeah,
that's the sad part. That's the sad part.
I'm surprised nobody else did.
You were like, which fucking world are y'all living in? Oh, great, the most fun division. And then we have to talk about the NFC.
I only got one question. How many teams are getting in?
It could be the first time 4.
It could be. See, everybody says that. Here's the problem with that, bro. They're so good, they're going to cannibalize each other. I really think that. And they're
100%. But who do you got on the bottom?
I think so. Let's say the Bengals do win. I think
Bengals.
The division.
Yeah, the West.
No, but I'm saying, okay. This is what I'm saying. Oh,
no, the Bengals are in the South.
The Bengals are in the North.
The North. My bad.
Okay, so the two teams I have getting in are I think the Chargers are going to win the division. I think the Chiefs get in because I'm not going to count out Patrick Mahomes until he's proven to be counted out. I do think the Chargers win the division. And the reason why I believe that is because there's still question marks about some of these teams. The Raiders defense is still a question mark. The Broncos offense is interesting. They could be good, but we got to see it. And the Chargers, to me, are the one team that doesn't really have any flaws. They have a good offense, and they improved their defense. They got Khalil Mack. They got J.C. Jackson. They already have Bosa. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Chargers are going to take that next step, and they're going to win the division. The Chiefs, their defense is still suspect to me. Their offense is going to be good. I don't think the loss of Tyreek Hill is going to stop their offense from being good. What I do think the loss of Tyreek Hill does is you don't fear them as much anymore. Like, the problem with the Chiefs was they were like the Warriors, right? You thought you had them down and out. You were about to deliver the knockout blow, and then boom, deep pass to Tyreek Hill. Oh, shit, they're still alive. Next drive, boom, deep pass to Kelsey. Oh, shit, now they're back in it. Next possession, boom, deep pass to Tyreek Hill again. Oh, here we go. We thought we had them. Same with the Warriors, right? You had them down, then Steph hits a 3, then Clay hits a 3, then Draymond hits his only 3 of the game, and now the whole damn stadium is going crazy, and you're like, great. I think not having that extra home run hitter, I think hurts them. Obviously, they still have Travis Kelce, but now that it's just Travis Kelce, you can game plan for that a little bit better. They're going to still be a good offense. I think I saw a stat like they had the most like 10-minute drives in the league last year. So contrary to popular belief, they can play a long game and a short game. And I think they'll key in on that more. You won't see the home run hitting. You'll see like long sustaining drives. So I think the offense is still going to be good. But I think when you don't have that threat, that fucking Tyreek's down there somewhere, that game changing play in you anymore, especially when you don't have a defense, I think that's going to hurt them. Again, I'm not going to say they're not going to make the playoffs because I'm not going to count out Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes like that. But I do think the Chargers win the division and the Chiefs get in, even as a 5 seed. I think they get in. I think the Raiders and the Broncos still need more. That's just my opinion.
I think the wild cards are here in this AFC West.
So you think all 4 teams are getting in?
Only because, bro, I don't know. I don't even know how to rank these teams. I don't want to disrespect the Chiefs, but for every reason you said, I think the Chargers can win the division. With that being said, the Raiders are being underrated because they made it last year. And for all the lack of chaos that they've had this offseason, I have to believe that Derek Carr with Devonta Adams is going to be their best season of their careers. With that being said, the Broncos exist with Russell effing Wilson. Like, which one of these teams is going to suck? I don't think any of them are going to suck. And I think the Raiders and the Broncos, they're the ones that are going to, like, the Raiders are going to be sneaky really good. And the Broncos are going to, I think, have the ease of schedule. Like,
no, but that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. Their schedules are, so you got to remember, right? They play the South. So everybody's got to play the Titans and the Colts. They play each other. Okay, great. The Bills play the Chiefs. The Bengals play the Chiefs. So that's another reason why I think the Bills won't. That's why another reason why I don't think the Chiefs will win the division, but they'll get in because they have the hardest schedule. I believe they play the North. I believe. So that means they got to play the Packers and the Vikings. So there's a lot of hard games. And yeah, they're all great teams, but I don't think besides the Chiefs, these aren't teams that you say, no matter who they play, we believe they could beat. You know what I mean? Like, they're good. Well, they're the Raiders, the Broncos, especially, they're not a team that you think, oh, they're going to run away against everybody that they play. No, they're going to be good. And again, they're going to cannibalize each other. So when it comes to tiebreakers, when it comes to stuff like that, I think they're gonna struggle a little bit. Now the Broncos do have the luxury of playing the Browns this year, and I believe they play them with in those first 11 games when Deshaun's not playing. So that's a huge advantage to them. Whereas the Raiders got to play us, the Chargers have to play the Ravens, and the Chiefs have to play the Bengals. So that's an advantage in that department. But in terms of everything else, bro, they're gonna have a hard time. Not to mention they got to play their East counterparts. And I forgot how that breaks down. But again, the Dolphins, that's gonna be a hard out for whoever plays them, which would be the Chargers, I think.
No, I think anybody in the West can beat the Dolphins. Anybody in the West can beat the Pats. Anybody in the West can beat the Jets.
The Pats would be the Raiders.
And I think the Raiders still are salty about the no tuck rule or the tuck rule, and they're going to still keep them down.
That's a definite L. But the point I'm making, again, schedule-wise and the fact that they got to play each other, I just don't see more than 2 getting.
Well, I'm looking at the other divisions too, and I don't see that many wild cards. Like, your team is, if the Bengals are as good as I think they're going to be, you're the team that's the wild card for the wild card. You know what I mean?
About the Ravens.
But that's what injury. Well, pretty much, I'm saying based off if the Ravens are still there, then yeah. Like, but then you're not the wild card, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's
again, it's about schedule. So again, the way it matches up, some teams have easier opponents than others, and that's what I'm saying. That not only is the West going to beat each other up, but then depending on who they play, somebody might have an easier path to the playoffs than they will. And that's what I'm saying. So for instance, we forget there's a chance the Colts and the Titans make the playoffs. If no other reason, they both get to beat up on the Jaguars and the Texans twice a year. You see what I mean? Like, so that's the thing. So if both get in, so that's already one down. You only got two. Okay, we said there's a good chance that one team from the North gets in. That's two. So now there's only one left for an AFC West team. That's what I'm saying. You can't discount those other teams in the other divisions that might get in simply because they have an easier path. While y'all are beating up each other, I get to beat the Browns twice. They get to beat the Jets twice. They get to beat the Jags and Texans twice. Like, that's huge. That's a big part of this. Like, y'all are so good that no game is easy for y'all. That's the problem. You know what I mean? That's the problem. If the Texans and the Colts get in already, that screws everybody up. Now, I don't think another AFC East team will get in. The Dolphins are the only one to have a chance. But again, I can see two Southern teams getting in. And let's not count out the North. The North has three teams that could potentially get in. So that's what I'm saying. There's not even enough spaces to me for everybody in the West to get in. I think there's only going to be two. I really do. I think there's only going to be two. And then the other one will come from the North and one will come from the South. That's what I think will happen. I think the Titans get in. And again, I think it's either going to be the Steelers or the Ravens.
I'm really lesser the Broncos. Broncos more because I'm a Russell Wilson fan and I'm a fan of Jerry Jeudy and those weapons he got. I really am. And Mile High. I really have a feeling about the Raiders. So chalk it up to either they are the wild card or they fuck around and win the division. Because I feel like so many people are sleeping on the Raiders like they're just scrubs. And pretty much the same reason why you're arguing for your Steelers, lesser degree. The Raiders aren't.
But I think it's the opposite. I think everybody is hyping up the West. That again, they're not going to get no sneak. You're not going to sneak up on everybody.
No, but I feel like the Raiders are the least hyped ones. Like the Chargers have Herbert, the Broncos have Wilson. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Like everyone hasn't seemed to have the respect for the Chiefs. The Raiders are the one where people are like, "Oh, Derek Carr. Oh, he's been around for 10 years." Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones that everyone.
The Raiders are also, but the Raiders are also the team that was like, "Oh shit, Devontae Adams, he's the best receiver." You know what I mean? They might have the fourth. They might have the fourth best quarterback, but they obviously have the best receiver.
And they're weak at defensive back. Their linebackers, their front seven more or less. They got some young talent on there, man. I'm just saying, like it's not all world talent. They don't got TJ Watt. But I'm saying
they got Max Crosby. They got some good guys.
Yeah, man. Like, he's not a bump. Like he's one of those guys where you know how hyped anybody around here would be if we got. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. Giants, Jets, Eagles.
Again, I think there's four great teams in the AFC West. I just think the way football just usually is and the way their schedules are, I just think it's going to be very hard for all four to get in. Simply because somebody's gonna knock one of them out. You know what I mean? Like that's just gonna happen. I just don't see it. And again, it's not like the rest of the AFC is trash. Again, the North is really fucking good too. Next year, I might consider the North the best division. Like when the Browns get Deshaun Watson full time, I might consider the North. Like let's say God forbid Kenny Pickett is that dude and George Pickens is that dude. Next year, we might be looking at the North like, well, shit, the North is the best division in football.
No, there's definitely a possibility. I think it's more of a possibility there's three good teams in the North than the Browns. But
I agree.
That's it, man. I don't have much more for this division. I'm kind of sitting here wanting to see the show. Fuck, I knew it was coming eventually.
Let's get to the NFC, brother. Let's get to the NFC. The first question, will the Eagles win the division? I think that is an astounding yes. You like Jalen Hurts more than most people do. And so because of that, I think you think he's going to play well. And if he plays well with the weapons that they have, they're definitely better than the Jets. That's not even a question. But the weapons that he has at his disposal, yeah, I think and the fact that they have a sneaky good defense, yeah, I think this is their division to win. I think if they don't win, Sirianni might be on the hot seat, and Jalen Hurts will probably get replaced. Because besides injury, knock on wood, and that's any team, there's no reason why they shouldn't win their division. From top to bottom, they have the best roster. It's their division to lose. What do you say to that? Besides fuck Eagles, because I know that's what you mean.
The Eagles should be good.
I love how you just see the pain in his eyes. It's like, why? Look, I even put Kayvon Thibodeau on there for you, make you feel better.
Eagles should be good.
Mm. Do you have them winning the division? How about this? Who do you have winning the division? I love how I can just like talk about my division, like, yeah, the Bengals could win. And then with Charles, it's like, don't make me do it. I'd rather eat poison.
Because I hate all these people. They have so much hate.
I hate
all right. Okay.
You can do it.
I think most likely right now, the way everything's currently constituted and taking health into consideration, the Eagles are most likely going to win the division.
There it is.
The Cowboys have injuries at their line.
Don't you feel better?
But I think the Eagles going into the season, it all depends on Jalen Hurts if he can throw a damn ball more than 20 yards. Devonta taking the next step. All the moves they've made have been good. Every single one of the moves they've made in the offseason have been good. I don't have them all in front of me. I'm not going all through it. Fuck that. But as a Giants fan, I know all the moves they've made. It's hard to hate their shit. And now I don't even have the Jalen Reagor joke anymore. Poor guy getting ready to fight people in his DMs. And now he's on the Vikings. To kind of answer the Eagles winning division, how screwed are the Cowboys? I want the Giants fan in me obviously wants to say we would win the division. I don't believe that shit. That we have it. It is like that is some miracle in the Meadowlands in a good way shit if we win the division this year. I would say the Commanders should win the division if they actually had a quarterback. But they don't. They have Wentz, and they also are ran by Snyder. So that gives me the faith that the Giants won't be last in the division.
Wow. So you think the Commanders will be last in the division?
You say it like it's strange. They have that pass rush, and that's about it because they are the most toxic franchise left in the NFL.
They have good weapons.
They have much better than the Jets, yes.
Yeah, I would say better than the Jets.
Everybody in this division has better weapons than the Jets, but okay. Everybody in the division has better weapons than the Jets. I know what I said. Anyway, I think this division isn't that good, and I think it's the Eagles to actually lose. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the Cowboys with that. I just don't think they're going to beat the Eagles this year because I think the Eagles are a better built team. The Cowboys hit their peak. Remember what the new Trinity was supposed to be with their run game, their quarterback, and their wide receiver. Well, the wide receiver's gone. They got a new 88 up in here, and Ezekiel Elliott is getting older, and he doesn't have the O-line. And I'm more giving respect to this O-line that they've been the best in the league for so long, and now they're not there because they paid Dak and injuries. So here we are, and again, to the credit of the Commanders, that pass rush is in the division. Like what you said about the West applies to the East. The Cowboys, they're paper champions every year. They're just going to get cannibalized by the division. They like the Cowboys. Would you be shocked if the Cowboys lost every divisional game? I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are going to be good at all this year, to be honest with you.
I feel bad saying that because it's all going to go on Dak, and it's not just Dak.
It's not Dak's fault at all. The O-line's injured / not good anymore. Ezekiel Elliott's not good anymore. They gave away Amari Cooper for a bag of chips and replaced him with James Washington, of all players. I just don't see this offense being that good. And the defense got better last year, but I don't think it's an all-world defense either. So if you don't have the offense you used to have and your defense still isn't where it needs to be, how are you winning games? Just because you have an easy schedule? You know what I mean? Matter of fact, I feel like the only games they will win are the division games, just because this is the division. I wouldn't be surprised. I to be honest, I have the Eagles and the Commanders as the two teams that can win the division. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys can last in the division. I would.
Overrating Wentz. I keep telling you about this. You had the Colts win the South.
It's not about overrating Wentz. Their roster is really good,
except for Wentz.
Okay. Again, I'm not saying anything.
The Colts roster's kind of good, isn't it?
They didn't finish last in the division, did they?
Well, this division is not the South, AFC South. So,
yeah, you're right. It's worse. I'm sorry. The fuck? What are you talking about? What are we talking about?
AFC South is perpetually the worst division until they get the Jacksonville Jaguars to be relevant, and the Texans aren't the Texans.
Okay. The point of the matter is the NFC East is not good either. So it's not that
better than the AFC South.
Better than the Texans and the Jaguars. We forget the Colts and the Titans were both really good last year. So at the end,
I bet the Eagles run the Colts off the fucking field. I really do.
Last year?
No, right now. I'd like those teams. Okay,
we'll see. I don't know. The point of the matter is, I think the Commanders could be I think the Commanders are the only team that will threaten the Eagles to win the division. That's if Carson Wentz doesn't completely fucking suck. If he does suck, they won't win the division. So it doesn't matter. I think the Cowboys might come in last place. I really do. Or if not, I think your Giants.
That's a silver lining.
Yeah, but I think your Giants are on the right track. I didn't love your draft. Obviously, your first round was chef's kiss, but I didn't really like anything else you did in the draft. So I don't know how much.
Well, the wide receivers remain to be seen. Like we'll know if they were good picks or not after this year. Like, don't get me twisted. If they have some blow up year in year 2 or 3, then okay, I'm wrong. But we should see something from them this year. If not, our draft was top heavy, but it needed to be top heavy. Kayvon Thibodeau is important. Fuck the preseason, as I tell you every year. He got hurt, and now we're going to be dealing with that when we should be super excited about the team, and it's just annoying. Evan Neal.
I don't think the injury was even that bad. Actually, I think
it's just annoying that there's even an injury before the first week of the season to him specifically. Not that there's any injuries on the roster, but to the guy you pick, top 5, you just want to see be fully healthy going into his rookie year.
Yeah. I think that this will come down to your first round talent, right? If Evan Neal's the guy and if Kayvon Thibodeau's the guy, you'll win some more games. Obviously, again, injuries.
What do you think? Let's cut to the bullshit. It comes down to quarterback play, and I have zero faith that Daniel Jones has learned how to hold on.
You'll be drafting a new quarterback next year.
That's what I'm saying, man. All jokes aside, you're not wrong. If Wentz plays up to his potential, finally, they should be challenging for the division. Giants and Cowboys are looking at the basement. The difference between the Giants and the Cowboys fans right now, I feel like there's more Giants fans that are like, yeah, we're going to suck. Let's start looking at quarterbers. You know what I mean?
I think you guys are trending up when the Cowboys are trending down for sure.
Yeah, and we're trending up, but at least how I'm perceiving what you mean. That doesn't mean we're going to have a good record this year. That just means the franchise is getting healthier despite whatever our record may be. The worst case scenario is Daniel Jones gets this team to 500.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario. And I know people, you're supposed to want to win it. Yeah, bro, if we get to the playoffs with Daniel Jones, I'm going to give him props. I'll give him props for that. That is props in the NFL regardless, right? If you lead your team to the playoffs.
Well, here's I told you this before. Your schedule is so easy. If everything goes right, y'all could fuck around and win 10 games. That's how easy your schedule is.
That'd be crazy, bro.
That which is insane to think about. But your schedule is that easy. Remember, everybody in the NFC East has like literally the easiest schedule in the league. Now, granted, part of that is because you guys face each other, but still, like you guys have the easiest schedule in the league. Eagles, I think, has the easiest schedule in the league, and I think you guys are second easiest.
Like, I'm so over Daniel Jones. I'm one of those fans that are paying attention to what happens with Jimmy G, what happens with Jordan Love, and what happens with Tua, depending on how he plays this season. You asked me more than once, and I said, yeah, trade for him. I'm pissed the Giants didn't get Baker. We'd have more excitement if they traded a 5th-round pick for Baker. I think we still have 2 firsts this year.
But see, I'm glad y'all didn't. Let Daniel Jones play it out. We'll see if he gets better. This is supposed to be a really
easy
good
for you to say. You got excited from preseason.
But
this just not play it out. It's year 4, bro. This is what I'm saying.
No.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It's year 4. Why am I in Groundhog's Day? Am I just not waking up from this? Am I perpetually doomed to relive the same sports season in every one of my teams? That's what's happening to me. Every goddamn year, it's the same thing.
No, because you guys will get a new quarterback next year anyway, so let it play out.
That's a year 1, just from our previous conversation. That's what a year 1 is, just so you know. This isn't year 1 of Daniel Jones with the new head coach.
Yeah, but you'll get a new quarterback next year. So
I hope so, man. I hope we have a new quarterback this year. I hope Tyrod Taylor. If we get to that game, I hope it's Tyrod Taylor leading us. I'm not even joking. Daniel Jones goes out. Tyrod comes in. It's some Steaming Willie Beeman action, getting us to the playoffs.
Jesus. NFC North, man. Are the Packers gonna fall off?
I hope so. Bro, when it comes to the
North, I did until I had to draft Aaron Rodgers yesterday, so now I hope not.
Okay, so I can kind of answer this almost in a row. I think the Packers should fall off. Aaron Rodgers is great until he's not. I don't think he's Tom Brady, though, and I really think his asshole-ish douchebaggery is going to come back to bite him the younger the team gets around him. And with Jordan Love right there might be a growing contingent of players just sick of his bullshit that are kind of like, I'd rather lose with him than win with you type of attitude. Because guess what? No one cares if you're just going to keep getting shit on and blamed for everything while one guy keeps getting all the praise. And they saw that the last guy went and got the bag elsewhere. To the next question's point, I think the Vikings should win the division. I think the Vikings should have been winning the division. Thank God they got rid of Zimmer, and now they can take that next step because I think he's been holding them back. This should have been their division for the last 3 goddamn years. How bad are the Bears? Just like what I said about the Jags. That's what I meant earlier. I feel like Fields is in this weird spot, doesn't have the team around him, but he could surprise and have a great second year that's not going to be a bust because they're if they build around his strengths. There's certain players that could surprise you, at least from a fantasy perspective, but not necessarily on the wins and losses. I just hope they don't waste this whole kid's career.
All right. Well, hold on. Matter of fact, go ahead. Go.
And all I was going to say is I think the Bears might end up as the worst team, but with more optimism because I don't think they've built a good enough team around Fields for him to do much. Because I think the Lions have been, projecting up. I think the Vikings go up. I definitely don't think the Packers are going to be last. So that unfortunately leaves the Bears. But I don't think they're going to be bad because of Justin Fields.
Okay. I agree. I totally disagree with the Bears. I think the Bears are going to be horrible this year. Horrible.
Justin Fields, though?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
and it's not because of Justin Fields.
It's because he's an Ohio State quarterback.
No, not even that. It's because they did nothing to improve the offense. They did nothing to improve the O-line. They have done nothing to improve like the offensive scheme around him. They might be the worst team in the league this year. Like their defense, they got rid of Khalil Mack. Roquan Smith doesn't even want to be there anymore. So I don't even know who's left on defense. So they don't have the defense anymore. The offense is god awful and probably got worse this offseason, which I don't understand how you let that happen. And Justin Fields was a developmental quarterback that obviously isn't getting developed. So I don't know. And again, there's no shade on Justin Fields. I wish that he went to a better situation. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears have a bottom three record. I really wouldn't. I think that's how bad they can be this year. I think they're going to be horrible, like horrible.
That's bad, man. That's bad when your biggest disagree in the North wasn't Packers falling off a little bit from the top, the Vikings taking over, or the Lions not being in the basement necessarily. It's that I said the Bears will probably finish last, but Justin Fields might be a little bit better. And you're like, nah, nah.
I don't see it.
No, I get it. I'm being hopeful. I'm being hopeful because I liked him coming out of college. I know it's not his fault. It's kind of like a David Carr Texan situation, right? People are like, oh, he's trash. He's not. Like, it's not his fault.
It ain't him. It ain't him. I mean, the Bear. I don't know what the fuck the Bears did this offseason, but it wasn't. But they didn't. I tell you what they didn't do. They didn't improve their football team. So now Jaquan Brisker, the rookie safety they got, he looks really good. And I'm actually kind of pissed. He was one of the guys I wanted the Steelers to draft. He looks really, really good. Like defensive rookie of the year looking good. But other than that, great. You got a good, strong safety.
And the Lions are another team. Be on the lookout because they might make a move for like a Jimmy G or something.
Yeah, I think the Lions are going to be good. I want to say good, but the Lions are going to be much better team. A much better team. Now, what scares me about the Lions is if they continue to lose in the silly ways that they're losing, all that rah-rah stuff that Campbell talks about, I think that loses its luster very quickly. There's only so many heartbreaking losses you can do, and so many times you could cry at the press conference before the team kind of turns their back on you.
Oh, this is it. There has to be some type of improvement, or it's going to be definitely.
But you know, I'm going to say that they will be because they got some sneaky good players, especially on offense. So I think that they can be a hard out. I think they can win some games. Like I said, I just think the Bears are going to be horrible. I would be surprised if they don't have a bottom 5 record in the league. I really do. I would be honestly surprised because there's a lot of bad teams that we believe will at least be like improved. The Bears are the one team I'm like, nah, son. Like, nah, I don't see the improvement at all. So NFC South, can Baker lead the Panthers to the playoffs? My answer to that is, maybe. NFC sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like playoffs, sure. If you're telling me that only 2 teams from the West get in and only 2 teams from the North get in, there's wild card spots available for you, I guess. Like,
no,
maybe,
no, not maybe, no, no. If he does, give him the bag because no. Is Tom Brady still in this division?
Yeah, I mean,
no.
I didn't say win the division. I just said the playoffs.
No, there ain't no wild card coming from this division.
The Saints could get it. Wait a minute. Saints and Tampa and New Orleans could easily make the playoffs. The question is, how bad is the rest of the NFC? Can the Panthers get in as the 7th seed? I pray to God. I hate to say
the Niners and the Rams are in the West.
I don't think
the Eagles and the Commanders, as you said, are in the East.
There's not 2 teams are not coming out the East. I don't think that.
2 teams ain't coming out the North.
You don't think the Packers could be a wild card team? You think they're gonna fall?
Oh no, I'm sorry. 2 teams ain't coming out the South. The North, the Vikings and the Packers are making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Rams,
Niners.
I don't think the Niners. I think the Niners are gonna suck. But go ahead.
Okay, Cardinals.
Okay, so at least one. At least one. So that could be the Panthers.
No, it could be the Saints. It ain't gonna be the Panthers. I'm not hating. I'm not so much hating.
Real talk. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. The NFC is so wide open to me. I think the Saints and the Bucks will definitely get in. Whoever wins the division, I don't know. I don't care. But I think both teams get in. I just have a feeling the Rams are the only team that's going to make the playoffs in the West. Remember, D.O.P.E is suspended for the first 6 games. You know what I mean? Like I just don't believe in the Cardinals right now. until they prove to me otherwise. We know the Seahawks are rebuilding. The Niners, I think, royally screwed up their quarterback situation. I think that's going to fuck them up. Again, I'm not saying the Panthers will make the playoffs. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping they don't. I don't want Baker as a friend. I don't want Baker to voodoo this team into thinking that he needs the bag. Draft a quarterback, for God's sake. Miss the playoffs. I'm hoping they're good enough not to fire everybody, because I do think their coaching staff needs more time. But I hope they barely miss the playoffs, draft a quarterback, and move on. That's what I want them to do. But yeah, I think the Saints could be really good, honestly. The Saints are one of those teams that people are sleeping on. They're not like great at anything, but I think they're good at everything. You know what I
mean? The Saints are still good, but they're the wild card team. I think it's the Bucs division to lose. And I think the Saints are just better than the Panthers. If you're telling me that, if another injury happens to Jameis and Baker's out there balling, and you guys have the momentum, I'm not surprised that they might be a wild card team. I just don't think they will be. I think the Bucs win the division. I think the Falcons are on the bottom. They draft their quarterback this draft, and they're one of the top 5 picks. They're one of the basement dwellers this year. It's a rebuilding year for the Falcons. Sorry, guys. I know you've been rebuilding since forever now, but
since I lost that Super Bowl, really.
Oh snap! We out west.
Super Bowl hangover for the Rams. I think so, but I still think they win the division.
Oh, okay. Like when you say Super Bowl hangover, I just think sucks. That's what
I think they're going to take a major step back, but somebody's got to win that division. I still think it's going to be the Rams. I think the West is in a weird place.
Wait, you're okay. Let's pick up from the last slide a little bit. The Niners are fucking up. You really do not believe in Trey Lance?
No, I don't.
So let's just start there, because I think the Niners are still a contender for this division, and at least a wild card team. And I do think this division, if everybody plays to their potential in the division, they could have 2 wild card teams in this division.
Yeah, how you say there's so many, all these ifs. I think that's how I feel about the West. There's so many ifs, and I don't believe in any of them. The Niners, to me, are really fucking up their locker room with this quarterback situation, and I think that's going to hurt them. The Rams, to me, are going to be good, obviously, but I don't think they're the juggernaut in the NFC this year because of the Super Bowl hangover. I still think they win the division, but I think they'll be the 4th seed. I think all the other division winners will have a better record than them. Seattle's tanking, so we know that. And then the Cardinals, I gotta see it. Without DeAndre Hopkins for the first half of this year, or first 6 games of the year, that might fuck them up, because we know they don't finish the year off well. Where they've proven that they don't finish the year off well at all. So they're gonna have to survive those first 6 weeks without D.O.P.E. If they don't, they're not making the playoffs. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think the West is gonna be that good this year. I really don't.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of this pod, I think we're in the nexus of a couple eras. So I'm with you there, bro. This is one of those areas where we're going to see are the Niners and the Cardinals and the Rams the new top of the division, the ones that are contending out west. Because if the Rams take a step down, you figure one of these other teams got to take a step up.
I think the Rams are too good to not win the division. They'll win the division, but I don't think they'll be a top.
You don't think the Cardinals can? I think the Cardinals have the potential to win the division.
No.
Okay.
Again, they haven't proven it. They've the last 3 years, they've started off the year hot and then free-falled. Free-falled the bottom half of the year. Now
you think that's part of the Kyler problem?
I think that's the whole
Kyler dilemma, I should say, not a problem, because I take Kyler Murray on my team. So
I think I don't know. I can't answer that question why it happens. I just know it happens. And my thing is, if you don't even have D-Hop for the first 6, games or so, that's a lot of pressure to be 4-2 at worst in those games. And I didn't look at the schedule, so I don't know. They might have 6 gimme wins. I don't know, but I would assume not. And my thing is, if even if they go 3-3, maybe even 2-4, I don't see them having this resurgence on the back half of the year to get them where they need to go. They haven't proven it. They haven't proven that they can play a full year of football. They just haven't. They've proven that, when shit hits the fan, shit is hitting the fan hard and it stinks. And Marquise Brown isn't making me think, oh my God.
It's definitely the least I've thought of the West in years, man. Like pre-Legion of Boom NFC West is like, because I'm not scared of the Rams, but like I feel like they could repeat. I feel like they could fall off.
They can. They can. I just think Super Bowl hangovers are real, and I think they'll have one.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to fall off this year, but I don't know if that window for the Super Bowl is as open anymore.
Right. And then also you had Aaron Donald thinking about retirement. Also, I just think
that's why I still like Stafford. Some people are just over Stafford already. And I'm thinking, dude, okay, real quick, because we're here in this division, right? What happens to the legacies of an Aaron Rodgers and a Matt Stafford if Matt Stafford wins the second one before Aaron Rodgers does?
I think Matt Stafford should be considered a legend, and I think Aaron Rodgers should be considered a fraud. Point blank, period.
Bars. He's spitting bars.
Like Matt Stafford was that dude in Detroit. And if you listen to players talk, they've been saying that, we're lucky he's on Detroit. Matt Stafford got a lot, just like you said about Dak last slide or whatever, about like if they suck, it's all going to be on Dak. And I said, that's not fair. I think that's what will happen with Matt Stafford. Oh, he in Megatron. Assholes, this isn't the NBA. Just because you have 2 or 3 good players does not mean you're a good team. I've said that.
People trying to throw Cooper Kupp in this upper echelon. How come we're not considering him the Megatron now? This is when the quarterback is getting the proper amount of props. Like, no one said Kupp was garbage. No one said he wasn't great, but he's not like that legend. And the fact that when you gave him a Stafford, his numbers blew up like that is not only a testament to how good he was with less, but also a testament to how good just Stafford is at his advanced age in the sport of football. Like, this isn't even, air quotes, prime Stafford that landed on the Rams. Because to your point, for years, players were like, be happy that's the roster this dude got. Because we were watching him drop, 5,000-yard seasons doing nothing in Detroit? And everyone's like, well, he's a stat stuffer. First season of his career with the real roster. And I'm saying that with all due respect to Megatron and Ndamukong Suh. You know what I mean? Like, he had some players on each side of the ball. He never had the roster the Rams was last year. And the second you gave it to him, everyone's like, well, they should win a ring. And they did.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Matt Stafford is a great quarterback. I was stuck on a bad team. It happens. And it's funny that happens because it's one of those weird things in time. Remember, Sam Bradford was supposed to be the number 1 pick in the draft that year. He stayed in college because he didn't want to go to the 0-16 Lions team. So Matthew Stafford became a Lion.
Matthew Stafford got a ring and he's still starting.
Right. Who knows where Matthew Stafford would have been drafted?
To our conversation earlier about not sitting out and just balling no matter what game's in front of you.
No, well.
Pow.
No, Matt Stafford, who knows where he would have been drafted and what his career would have been like on a better organization. The same thing with Cam Newton. I remember not wanting Cam Newton because I was like, nah, let's suck again next year so we can get Andrew Luck. Who knows what would have happened if they had Andrew Luck?
I remember those conversations with Panthers fans. Shout out Brandon. Cam Newton was always a home run hit. You take Cam Newton, and I'm happy how his career turned out with the Panthers, sans the one ring. But you lost to a dude in Von Miller on that side of the ball that is an all-time defensive talent. So it's not like looking back on that Super Bowl, it's like, oh, you really lost to. No, they lost to legends on both sides of the ball. Like, that is one of the most disheartening Super Bowl losses next to the Falcons one we just brought up because they ain't never living that shit down. But, oh, you mute me? Okay.
No, I was trying to turn this light on, but that's not working. Anyway.
But yeah, man, that's the West.
All right, so here's our predictions. I have Josh Allen winning MVP, TJ Watt winning, which should be his 3rd straight defensive player of the year, but it'll only be his 2nd. I have George Pickens in Rookie of the Year. I have Kayvon Thibodeau winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. My Super Bowl prediction is Bills, Vikings, and I have the Bills winning it all.
We both have the same team winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's just crazy. I don't think that ever happens.
I purposely didn't tell Charles what my picks were. I just wanted to get his.
Yeah, it's crazy. I picked the rookies thinking like, okay, which teams get the hype depending on the position, and we all know that quarterbacks get overvalued for rookies of the year. Shout out Justin Jefferson, but
another reason why I picked Pickens over Pickett is because if Mr. Trubisky starts half the year, you know what I mean, then Kenny Pickett can't.
And I didn't know he was definitely starting when I gave it to you. If I had to switch it, I still wouldn't know because this is one of those years where I'm not pretending to know where I think the Rookie of the Year is coming from. I don't know if it was a deep draft yet, is my whole point. Let alone if there's more than one obvious Rookie of the Year when we look back on this. I think Kayvon Thibodeau, I picked him, one, because I'm a Giants fan, and two, because New York is one of the markets that if you play defense in New York, it gets noticed. Even if it's just good, it will get blown up as a rookie to great. Ask Odell, who was great, but that's my point. You will have a lot more eyes on you and get a lot more praise in certain markets. And Kayvon Thibodeau is lined up for Defensive Player of the Year if he just has a good season.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I was trying to give that same respect to Kenny Pickett because I think he's going to start the majority of the Steelers season. If that kid throws 3,000 yards in 12 games, he's the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and he might. We don't know. I just picked Pickens because I know Pickens will be our starting receiver all year long. I don't know when Kenny Pickett will get in. I'm surprised you didn't say anything about my Vikings going to the Super Bowl.
I like the Vikings, man. I picked the Bucs because I really can see Tom Brady getting them there because we're just counting them out again, and this is what happens every effing time. So I chose the Bucs because in my heart of hearts, I was thinking like, yo, it might be Stafford again. Like if I'm sleeping on Stafford, how many other people are sleeping on Stafford? And why are we sleeping on Stafford is my chain of thought just thinking about it. But you're right with the Vikings because they're another team that has underperformed for years. And they're not losing games because of Kirk Cousins. Ask a Vikings fan, if they had Kirk Cousins back in the day, they'd have a ring with AP. Like, that's how bad their quarterback situation has been. Christian Ponder. I don't even remember the dude's name that threw the pass to Stephon Diggs because it wasn't Kirk Cousins. Like, that's my point. Like,
it was Case Keenum. I think it was Case Keenum.
Think about the levels of quarterbacks the Vikings have had. And think about the level of quarterback the Vikings have had when they've had better quarterbacks historically than the Bears ever had. And so that whole division is fugazi and top heavy when it comes to quarterbacks. And it's pretty much just the Packers when you think about it. So if it's Bills Vikings Super Bowl, as somebody that doesn't think their Giants is contending, I'm here for that one. Like that, I'd be hyped for either side because both fan bases deserve it. Bills Bucks or Bills Rams on my end, but Vikings is good, man. They are a sleeper when you think about their road to get there and what kind of team they are. The coaching just got to be there. It's all up to the coaching because if they fucked around and got like what you were saying earlier, like imagine Mike Tomlin with the Vikings roster. See, you're like, oh, I'm happy. That's not the case. We'd be out here talking like, is Kirk Cousins the most underrated quarterback of a generation? That's what the conversation would be if Mike Tomlin was coaching the Vikings this year. But that's good. I actually like it, man. TJ Watt, like you said, you made me start paying attention to him years ago, and I've been watching him, and his numbers are stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good defense, and you can be like, well, he's eating on a good defense. Like, you watch it, and you're like, he's very important to this whole thing. Like, he's not the dude next to Aaron Donald that's just eating off of Aaron Donald.
He's so good that it's devaluing guys like Cam Hayward because people are saying, oh, Cam Hayward can't be the second best defensive tackle because he has TJ Watt. No, Cam Hayward is the second best defensive tackle in the league, but because he's playing with TJ Watt, everybody's trying to discount what he does as well.
It's funny, bro. Quarterbacks overvalued so much at times, and the traditional positions, and this is me saying it, so it's not like I'm some type of traditionalist or conservative when it comes to shit like this, but the traditional ground and pound, three downs and a cloud of dust type of positions get so devalued these days that a great generational pass rusher will make you overlook a all-world talent on the defensive line because obviously they're only good because of X, Y, and Z. And it's just weird to me because I'm a member of a fan base that gets yelled at about the best quarterback they've ever had in Eli because of the pass rushers we've had. So I've seen different incarnations of all-time pass rush from all time, but they're not that no more. To picking up another piece and seeing older players move around. The Steelers have a defense, if they can capitalize on it. Like, that's why I came around. I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, shit. This is exactly what happened almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
This is almost an identical situation to that. The defense, like you always say, wins championships. And when it comes to your team, the Vikings, and all these other teams that are like on the periphery of that greatness because of the quarterback position or otherwise, or just on offense in general, defense really does matter. So a lot of this year is this. I don't know yet. I just don't know yet.
Either way, we both think that Bills Mafia will be very happy at the end of this year. We'll see. I haven't been more excited about an NFL season in a long time than I am now because there is so many. Well, I know it. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
I'm hurt. I'm sorry.
Me personally, there's a lot to look forward to, and there are questions. And I want to see what the rookie looks like because again, this is supposed to be a really good year for quarterbacks. If Kenny Pickett doesn't look the part, you might want to think about drafting another one and seeing if you can get that guy. So. Anyway, you can find me at Never for Brett. That's NEVA _ the number 4 BRETT _ ME. Sorry. On Instagram and Twitter. Where can they find you, Charles?
I'm at Not the Chuck D on all the socials. We are at the _ dope blog on Instagram, at the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter, and at www.thedope.blog for all of our ish.
If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. And thank you guys. And join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence.
Brett's going to owe me a shake.
You're going to owe me one too.